What is going on, guys? Thank you so very much for joining us right here on Tuesday night. It is Tuesday Night Titans, episode 116 for your Tuesday, October 14th, 2025. I'm your host, JD from New York. As always, joined by the one and only, the man who probably has a better chance of getting booked for the Chris Jericho cruise, more so than an AEW talent nowadays, Solomon. So what's going on, brother?
Only if he pays my fee.
You've been on one of those cruises, haven't you?
I was on that cruise 5 years ago, actually, yes. That was my first ever cruise, and I actually very much enjoyed myself.
Listen, it looks like a good time. He's got some.
It was fun. Yeah, I mean, you had tons of wrestlers on there. The food was actually pretty good. And then you had some concerts, and you had some wrestling matches, so it was a good time.
You mean to tell me you got to see Fozzy live, bro?
I did.
Are they as bad as I hear they are?
I wouldn't say they were bad. I think it's an acquired taste. I don't know what they would sound like now, 5 years later, but it wasn't too bad.
They got one hell of a killer guitar player. Rich Ward is the man. Yeah. But we got a lot to get into, guys. We don't want to waste any of your time. We had a major wrestling weekend, big-time wrestling weekend. SmackDown was a solid show, believe it or not. I'm not gaslighting you at all. SmackDown was actually pretty decent this week. Crown Jewel on Saturday. And then we got TNA Bound For Glory on Sunday, Monday Night Raw, which everybody's talking about last night. And now you're here with us on Tuesday night because this is the main event, Tuesday Night Titans. Thank you guys very much for joining us. We're going to get into all that stuff, your news, your rumors, your opinions, your discussion. We got it all for you. So sit tight, grab a beverage. It's going to be a good one. Make sure you guys follow us on social media. At JD from NY206, at Solid Monster down below. Everything you need for Jason is linked down below in the description. I suspect we're going to have a decent turnout tonight, so make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. 1,000 likes is the goal. Every single week we hit it, so make tonight another one of those nights. Super chats are open. Best way to support what we do here on the show, and we'll hang out with you, jokes and everything, questions, comments, and concerns at the end of the show with our beverages. And please make sure you guys leave a comment as well, because it all helps us out in the YouTube algorithm. All right, brother. It's been a long weekend. It was a busy weekend. You were probably more busier than I was, but I'm gonna leave it up to you to guide us on this busy wrestling week. Where do we want to go?
Well, I mean, there was a lot of WWE news, but I figure we have time to get to that. Why don't we start with some TNA stuff?
Oh yeah.
Well, we start with Bound for Glory because this was a big weekend. Bound for Glory is usually their biggest event of the year. I know you and I took some interest in this year's main event because of somebody who was in the main event, somebody who you and I are very familiar with. Mm-hmm. And I think we share the same opinion that we are very happy for this person coming out of Bound for Glory, the brand new TNA World Heavyweight Champion, a well-deserved win for one Mike Santana.
Yeah, that was primarily the reason why I ordered the show. I thought they would do it in New York, and in typical TNA fashion, they did not do it at the UBS Arena for Slammiversary. I felt like, honestly, I got a little robbed. I didn't really enjoy the show. I was basically buying it for him to see him win the title in front of his people. But then we get the announcement that Bound for Glory is happening in Lowell, Massachusetts, and more than likely, with the weeks that went on, Mike Santana was going to get a rematch against Strick Williams for the TNA Championship in Lowell, Massachusetts. And one thing that I think both of us were concerned with, Jason, was that the Lowell, Massachusetts crowd, were they going to give Mike Santana the respect and the ovation that he rightfully deserves when he wins that championship? All that aside, I think TNA made the right decision. I'm going to go back on that. I think they made the right decision. The wait was worth it. The house was packed. I don't know if they had 7,700 people in there. That's what they reported. We know how WWE loves to embellish some of those numbers, but it was a very large crowd for TNA standards.
And AEW, apparently.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not going to talk. Listen, I said enough about that. We don't need to get into that, but they had a decent crowd in Lowell, and I largely enjoyed the show, primarily to see Mike Santana win the TNA Championship. But, man, I know you and I, we'll get into it in a second, but I'm pretty sure you thought the same thing I did. That Leon Slater and Javon Evans match was not only the match of the night, that may be one of the best matches of the entire year.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, that right there, Honestly, I mean, as much as I was looking forward to seeing the Santana match, as far as a match, that was the one I was looking forward to. So when I bought the show, I said, okay, what am I most anticipating here? And that right there was at the top of my list because I just knew, like, you take those two guys and you put them in the ring together, first time ever one-on-one, and you know it's going to be something special. And it was. And then, of course, there was also the Hardys and the Dudleys and kind of the emotion coming out of that with their final match together. So this was my third TNA pay-per-view that I've actually bought this year. If you remember, we went through a similar situation with Joe Hendry, where we all thought he was going to win the championship a year ago in the summer, and they didn't do it. So then what happened? They went to Bound for Glory, and it's like, well, I'm sure now he's going to beat Nick Nemeth and win the championship, and they actually beat him again at Bound for Glory.
Yeah,
and
that was ridiculous.
That was ridiculous, and so they held out until Genesis, which is the show I bought in January. And then finally, they put the championship on him because they probably wanted him in the fucking Royal Rumble as the TNA World Heavyweight Champion. And then I bought the Slammiversary show, and then this one. So that I don't remember the last time I bought 3 TNA pay-per-views in a single year. I don't want to say that's a first because I used to cover the show on a regular basis like over a decade ago. But that just tells you that they've been able to generate some buzz this year. And then there's also that TV deal that's sort of hanging off in the balance right now. Where's that going to end up? We should be getting some clarity on that in the weeks ahead because I know Carlos Silva has said that this deal would kick in the beginning of 2026. So we're going to be hearing about a TV deal very soon. We'll see how much money they get out of that. They have some real momentum right now, going into the new year. And I think Mike Santana is somebody who, busted his ass to get to that position. But also what I think is cool about it, he shut a lot of people up because, there were a lot of people who look, and maybe they still do, but there's a lot of people that looked at him and went, he's a tag team guy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see him as a world champion, but you and I saw him as a world champion. We saw him reinvent himself physically and in the ring. So to see the payoff, like we did on Sunday night, it just made it that much more rewarding, despite the silliness that came at the end, which was completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
They got to, that scene of him and his daughter in the ring. I mean, that's what it's all about. You know what I mean? Like, those moments make it worth it in the end.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that. I did have a problem with that as well. And then we'll talk about the terrible ending that was the Javon Evans and Leon Slater match. But quickly, just want to run down some of the things that happened on this show. We're not going to go into a full breakdown here like we usually do. Macklin beat Frankie Kazarian for the TNA International Championship. I am a Macklin guy. He reminds me of Sheamus, that hard-hitting style, that brute style. So nice to see him still doing his thing. Tessa Blanchard beat Gia Miller. And this went actually 6 minutes. I thought this was going to get a little bit more time. Not a fan of this match. I'm surprised they actually waited until Bound for Glory to pay this off because this actually started at Slammiversary, Jason, when Tessa beat up Gia Miller as she tried for an interview after Tessa lost to Indy Hartwell at that show. And then they played it off for months, and then they paid this off here with Tessa winning. What'd you think of that?
Well, I mean, there was a reason for it. I mean, it was sort of out of TNA's control. I don't know if you saw the video that Tessa posted the other day.
I did not.
But the reason that she has been gone, she was gone for 3 months and only recently came back, is she had some cosmetic surgery. As she said in her video, she had a boob job. And it was something that she had been wanting to do for a long time.
Well, at least she's honest about it.
Yeah, no, I mean, she just came right out and said it. This is what I did. I had breast augmentation and, the recovery from that and everything. That's the reason why she missed the last few months.
All right. Well, there you go. At least she's open and honest about it. Honestly, I didn't even notice. I was just, I think she's a great wrestler aside from the personal stuff that's going on. People might not like her, but I didn't notice. No.
Oh, I noticed because she posted this video on her YouTube channel in such a way that made you think she was going to show you something, right? Everybody got all excited. And then at the very end of the video, she teases, do you want to see? And it's like she starts to take disrobe. And then what they did is they spliced in a shot of Tommy Dreamer taking his shirt off. And my God, I could have done without that. That I could have done without. That's an image I will not soon forget. So yeah, she kind of played it for comedy there at the end. But yeah,
well, listen, so she got a sense of humor and she knows how to grab people's attention. So I guess that's the most we could say about it. But
yes.
But yeah, she beat Gia Miller, a roll of quarters to the face as Gia Miller had her up in a power bomb, and that was basically all she wrote there. Frankie Kazarian and Nick Nemeth won a Call Your Shot gauntlet, which went 30 minutes. Now, I don't watch TNA normally. I don't cover TNA, so I was actually a little shocked to see. Maybe this was the thing all along, Jason, with these Call Your Shots. There's ladies and men in this thing normally.
I don't recall. This is the 7th year in a row they've done these. I want to say they've been intergender before. This wasn't the first time, but I don't remember how it was last year.
I'm not a fan of that. I don't know.
No? You see, it didn't bother me just because maybe I'm just so used to it going back to the Lucha Underground days.
Yeah.
Where they sort of normalized it, and we got some intergender matches that actually were very competitive and were very compelling. And it just sort of, for me anyway, it's sort of, I don't know, maybe in an environment like this where so much of this thing was played for comedy, I didn't see what the big deal was really. I mean, think about it. The majority of this thing really was played for comedy. It wasn't really meant to be taken too seriously. So that didn't really bother me too much. What bothered me is that it was a 30-minute match with the kind of ending that they gave us.
Yeah, I definitely had a few choice words on my stream for this. We had some of the ladies in there. The former Xia Li was in there. Lei Ying Li was in there. Mara Sade was in there. They actually started the gauntlet off. Ryan Nemeth, Nick Nemeth, Cedric Alexander, Rich Swann, which I'm a big fan of. AJ Francis was in there. Travis Williams from Sinner and Saints was in there, and then BDE, who is a popular WWE 2K YouTuber, he was in there. He's doing some work in Sami Callihan's promotion. Apparently, he's doing very well. Sammy's very proud of the work that he's put in. He's had a little history with AJ Francis, so they did a couple of cool spots in there. All of the Rascals were in there.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How is it okay that all three Rascals count as one entry, but Sinner and Saint, when they came out, had to do a coin flip to decide which one of them would be allowed to be in the gauntlet match?
It's almost like SmackDown drafting all of the MFTs with one pick, huh?
Yeah.
Still not any answer on that. I don't know.
Okay.
TNA,
so I wasn't the only one who noticed this.
No. TNA just being TNA, yeah. Danny Luna was in there. First time I personally got a glimpse of Danny Luna. Liked the intensity. Eric Young was in there. Jake Something, who is just a peak physical specimen. Hopefully they do something more with him because he just looks the part, and I don't know why he isn't where a lot of people think he should be. Rosemary was out there. Hometown Man, which I love the gimmick because it's just fucking funny. I don't know.
He's the hometown man. I mean, come on. He came out with now. What was the mascot he came out with?
That was, I don't know. It wasn't the Boston Red Sox mascot, was it?
I don't think so.
It might have been a college football team, maybe.
Maybe because there was another mascot.
Yeah,
I think
Eddie Edwards brought the Boston Red Sox mascot out.
Okay, now the Boston Red Sox mascot. I didn't get any clarity on this. Now I know the mascot is named Wally. What is Wally?
I have no idea. He just looks like a big fat-headed dude. I don't know.
I don't think he's called Wally the fat-headed dude. I didn't know if you knew what creature Wally is supposed to be.
What is the Philly Fanatic?
I thought it was the beaver. I don't know. I just kept calling him a beaver. I thought it was like Wally the Beaver. Or maybe I'm thinking of the TV show Wally and the Beav from back in the 60s. I don't know, but I thought maybe somebody could clue me in about who or what Wally is supposed to be.
Showing your age over there, bro, with fucking Beav.
I'm not quite that old.
Remember when Beav was on fucking Married with Children in the supermarket episode?
Yes,
he's just sitting there and he's looking at all the hot ladies in the highway.
This is the only gig I can get. And they were like Bud and Kelly were tormenting him and bullying him the entire episode.
He's fucking grabbing stuff off the countertops and he's throwing them on the floor so the ladies bend over, man. That's a great episode. Oh man. Yeah, Hometown Man was out there. Yeah, he had the UMass mascot. I have it in my notes here. So that's okay. What it was. Zach Clayton came out at number 16. If you guys don't know who Zach Clayton is, I'm a Jersey Shore unfortunately, watcher with Jersey Shore Family Vacation. He is the husband of JWoww on Jersey Shore, so that's who he is.
Okay, so Wally the Green Monster, people are saying, like the wall at Fenway. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Wally the Green Monster.
They got something. They got something for everything, huh?
It's not the beaver.
Jody Threat is out there, number 17. Santino Marella was out at number 18 because Frankie Kazarian attacked Jody Threat in the aisleway and then wanted to get into the gauntlet match. So Santino, who is the authority figure on TNA television, he was out there and tried to stop Frankie Kazarian. But what happened here, Jason, is that he put the Cobra on, hit Frankie Kazarian with it, wanted to get into the gauntlet match and took his very careful time getting in there. And maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, he actually broke his Royal Rumble record of elimination here, time in the match here in this gauntlet. Is that what happened?
I mean, that's what they claimed. I didn't have my stopwatch ready to actually time it because I just didn't care. But they claimed that, is that a new record? Is that a new record? I don't know if they confirmed that it was a new record, but that was what they were going for. They were going to recreate that moment. Yeah, you mentioned Jody Threat. I'm pretty sure Jody Threat is the one defending her championship in Winnipeg Pro Wrestling this weekend against one Mercedes Monet.
That'll be 11 belts, Monet.
That would be 11 belts, Monet. Yes.
Yeah, we got the news article when we talk about AEW and preview Dynamite. 3 hours, by the way, on Wednesday.
Don't remind me.
So Santino's out at number 18. Matt Cardona out at number 19. He's wrestling tonight on NXT against Josh Briggs. First time in 5 years he will be in a WWE ring. That's pretty incredible there. Good and bad. I don't know how he's not on WWE TV, period, regularly. And Mance Warner came out at number 20. He was the last one to enter this gauntlet match. And like Jason said, this was an overbooked mess because Cardona was left alone with the Nemets. The Nemets double-teamed Cardona. And Frankie Kazarian, when he was doing that deal with Santino Marella earlier in the match, he didn't get into the match and get tossed over the top rope, nor was he pinned. He went through the middle rope. So he pulled a Jerry Lawler on the outside and was sleeping until the end, where Nick Nemeth thought he won. And then he gets in there, and then they have a scuffle. And apparently there was a double pin. And they announced, Jason, that there is a dual winner. 30 minutes we waited for a winner to call their shot, get a number one contendership to any contract, any title in TNA. And we get a double winner here, which I feel like we wasted our time. It's Frankie Kazarian and Nick Nemeth. And then they're arguing over the trophy. They're both walking out of the ring with the trophy in a very comedic way, which was very cringy in my opinion. I mean, what do you feel about this? Do you feel like they wasted 30 minutes and kind of let the fans down with a double winner when we should have just really got one?
Of course. I mean, because the premise of the gauntlet is that when it comes down to the final two people, it converts to a singles match. And so when you have, a draw or a no contest in this case, in a singles match, and Santino Marella is out there, right, a man of the people, and the obvious thing to do is to simply add 5 more minutes and ring the bell, and they don't do that because the plan was they had this other angle they wanted to do. So it's like, well, we're going to have co-winners. It's like, it took me back to the Rumble in 1994. It's like I remember watching that thinking, you idiot, just restart the match. Like, why is this so difficult? I felt the same way at the end of this. I'm like, we spent 30 minutes on this. So that was just a very lame way to do it. I thought there were fun moments. I mean, I had fun with, I would say, a good portion of the gauntlet itself. But then to end it in that way was very anticlimactic.
So what do we do here? I mean, is there a situation where they both have to cohesively come up with a situation to cash in this trophy to get a contract, and it's made into a triple threat match? Does one have to kind of outsmart the other and take the title match away from the other guy? Like, how do we go about this now?
Yeah, I don't know, because there's only one trophy. So it's like, how does one person, like when Nemeth came out later in the show, he had the trophy. So why did he even have sole possession of the trophy at that point, right? Because wasn't it Kazarian who kind of teased the possibility that he might cash in later in the night? How did Nemeth end up with the trophy?
He put his scarf on it and then walked away from it, and then I guess he just left it with Nemeth. Like,
yeah, like
did he not think Nick Nemeth was going to go cash it in at the first opportunity he had?
Yeah, I don't even get the premise of that. Like, because if it were me, I wouldn't let the other guy take possession of it. I would sleep with the fucking thing. So I don't know if the idea is to just constantly have them foiling the other person's attempts to cash in for a championship match, or if this somehow ends with them winning. I can't imagine they're going to win tag team titles at some point. I don't know. I don't know what the end game is here. I'm sure they have a plan for it. And not knowing what that plan is, I can only comment on what I saw on Sunday, and what I saw at the end there just was no good.
Yeah, not very appealing as far as challenges here for Mike Santana out of the gate, but we'll keep an eye on that. Kalani Jordan defended the TNA Knockouts World Championship. Kalani Jordan from NXT defeated Indy Hartwell, 12 minutes. Not really much to really go over here. I mean, it was okay. I wasn't a fan of it, but I said on my stream, JC, I know a lot of people are kind of, they love the NXT women's division. I just feel like Kalani Jordan, obviously with a lot of promise, just feels like just everybody else that you see come along. There's no real identity there. The ring outfits, the ring gear kind of looks the same. Everything just kind of looks the same. I don't know what makes her stand out above everybody else, that everybody thinks that she is world championship material. I mean, maybe she is, and maybe I'm not seeing it. I don't watch NXT like I used to every single week. Maybe you can fill me in. Is there something that I'm missing here?
Yeah, I mean, she's very talented, and she did hold the I believe North American Championship previously. But no, she's super talented. She's very likable, as a babyface. I think she was very likable. And it's obviously somebody that Shawn Michaels and WWE are very high on. So they're putting her in a position where she can be, she can carry the torch in the world championship in this other company and try to sort of level up and help take her to that next level. So maybe for the reasons that you just mentioned, where you just don't see what the appeal is when they have all of this talent stockpiled in the women's division, I look at it as, again, it's an opportunity for her to level up and, take that next big step and get some rub from being the Knockouts champion. Because someone like Jordynne Grace gains nothing from it. She's already been Knockouts champion anyway. So they're trying to, use Kalani Jordan in this spot. She is very popular and she's very talented. I mean, so I don't really have an issue with it. What I had an issue with, and I thought was just brutal, they mentioned, Indy's family was in the front row, and they said that it took them 4 flights, I guess from Australia, to come to the show. Because coming in, I had Kalani Jordan winning. I didn't think she was she just won the championship a few weeks ago, Victory Road. But then I saw that Indy's family was in the front row. And I'm like, her parents and her siblings, and I'm like, oh well, I mean, come on, they're not gonna beat her in front of her family, especially when they flew them halfway around the world. Nope, that's exactly what they did. They flew them halfway around the world to watch her lose. I'm like, that's brutal.
Yeah, that is awful. Like,
yes, it is.
I don't know. Hopefully, TNA compensated them very, very well after the show and gave them a nice dinner and a couple of drinks on the house just to make sure everything was right there.
I'm sure. Yeah, here's some drinks to drink your sorrows away at the end of the night.
Oh, man. Yeah, so Indy lost to Kalani Jordan there in about 12, 13 minutes. The System, they defeated Order 4 in what was called a hardcore war. This almost went 20 minutes. This is basically War Games without the cage and the double ring, but everybody brings out their own unique weapon to the match. I said on my stream, Jason, the plunder and the hardcore stuff, especially seeing it every week on AEW, we see it almost weekly now. WWE, everything just feels generic when they do a plunder match or a hardcore match. But, I feel desensitized when I see this type of thing. And we saw basically everything here. Kendo sticks, chairs, thumbtacks. We saw a cheese grater at one point from Fandango, who was grating somebody's face.
Staple gun.
Staple gun. I mean, we've seen this stuff almost regularly this year, so it's kind of like, all right, man. None of it really is like, oh my god, let me react to it. But I had fun. I had fun here at the end of it, even though it was all generic, and we've seen this stuff a lot this year. I had fun with this.
Well, I mean, evidently these two factions have been warring for some time now. So if you were going to blow it, I assume this was the blow off. If you're going to blow something like this off, their biggest show of the year, you do a hardcore stipulation. Like, I get it. And the big spot really was Eddie's wife taking that tree slam onto those thumbtacks. I don't know if you saw her back after that bump. I mean, my God.
Yes, from Secret Agent Zero.
Agent Zero, who never misses a day at the gym, it looks like.
He looks pretty fucking incredible, I'll say that.
Agent Zero. And then Ali doing the 450 onto the tacks. And the first thing I noticed when he came up, he had a tack in his tit. Did you notice that?
I did not. I was hoping he didn't really suffer too harshly there, but yeah.
Dude, he could have been spared all over the rest of his body and just had that one thumbtack in his nipple, and that was like one too many for me. Like, oh God. So yeah, kudos to him. But like you said, the usual hardcore plunder that we're just very much, I think, desensitized to these days. But it blew off a big feud, and we got a couple of big bumps there at the end, and all's well that ends well. I guess we got the outcome here that people were happy with.
Eddie Edwards won it for the system with a barbed wire wrapped Boston knee party. And that was basically it. He leveled Ali with it, who is just unbelievable. Ali is just incredible.
Oh, yeah.
So the things that he does, the risks that he takes, and he just shows no care at all for what happens after that. I mean, that's very commendable. So he is incredible. That was 20 minutes, the system win. And then on to, in my opinion, it really started from this match onward. I very much enjoyed the second half of the show much more than I did the first half. Leon Slater and Javon Evans. This is for the X Division Championship. Both guys, 20, 21 years old, very, very young babies in the industry. They make me feel fucking old and Jason feel old, but 20 minutes here.
Well, you would feel old. If you were to combine their ages, they are still younger than many of the main event talents on the WWE roster right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, and individually, the X Division Championship is older than each of them. So, yes, we are talking about, Leon Slater, we're talking about the youngest X Division champion of all time. And they even shouted out House of Glory on commentary. So, shout out to Tom Hannafin. He gave a shout out to HOG and the Amazing Red because Red wrestled Leon Slater on Friday night. And that was a match because Red used to be the youngest X Division champion of all time. So it was a battle between, the previous youngest champion and the current youngest champion. And that was coming off a win that Leon Slater had where he, I believe, pinned Javon Evans in the big Survivor Series elimination match on NXT Tuesday night. So then that all led into this. So he had a big week himself. And then in Javon Evans, he's built up a lot of momentum recently himself. He had that great match with Sami Zayn in the U.S. Title Open Challenge on SmackDown a few weeks ago. And then I think they did a tag match, didn't they? It was Javon and Rey Fenix. God, who did they wrestle? Los Garza?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been lighting it up recently too. And so the idea that you're going to put these two in the ring together, like I knew coming into this is going to be something special. As long as they give them time to go out there and do what they do, and they know the stage that they're on, and there's going to be a lot of people there, more than you would find at the PC or any TNA taping. They're going to go out there and they're going to kill it. They're going to steal the show, and that's exactly what they did.
Yeah, this is the first time, in my opinion, that the crowd in Lowell finally actually sounded like a crowd. Like up until this point, they reacted, but it was very minimal. It almost didn't even sound like there were 7,000 people in the building. They sounded like 7,000 plus when this match was over and everything in between. So this was the first time, in my opinion, where the show actually took it to the next level finally, and you could see why with the praise that this match is getting. They went 20 minutes. I'm not going to go over every spot, but one of the spots in this match, Jason, that I really liked is, and we see a lot of this too, and I just fucking hate it because every time I think of Tomohiro Ishii, we see the chops with Moxley. They just chop each other and just willingly take chops from one another. They tried to do that here, and then Javon Evans, he faked him out and did a cutter, and then went for the OG cutter off the top rope and nailed him with it, and that was one of the closest near falls of the match. That was, to me, one of the highlights of this match.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Just fantastic. It's one of my favorite moments of the entire night. And it made me think, like, how did Randy Orton ever do a spot like that before?
Yeah.
It was so great. And the reaction it got, and as close as, like, that's where, I don't want to say where the crowd woke up. That's not what I mean. But, like, the crowd bought into that near fall. And when he didn't get the pin, like, there was an energy in that crowd that you did not feel up to that point. Although when the match started, I think there were chants of holy shit, and this is awesome, because the people in Lowell, they knew that they were about to get something special. But that moment, that near fall, was my favorite of the entire night.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how both of these guys at 21 years old had all those people in the palm of their hand where they actually went silent because the crowd expected them for a chop battle, and then Javon Evans just laid him out with a cutter, and they went fucking ballistic. So that was incredible. So we pick it up towards the end here. They go back and forth. Slater tried for a springboard at the barricade, Evans shoved him into the crowd. They were on the outside here. Evans then hit a running dive over the barricade onto Slater. He was still in the crowd. Evans then jumped the rail, and Slater followed, hitting his own dive over the barricade. And all of a sudden, we start to hear the bell ring. Now, I ask myself, again, I don't watch the TNA product regularly, so maybe Jason can fill me in here. He's probably got a better understanding of what's going on here. I didn't really know that TNA had time limits. Now, if they did have time limits, I don't know why we didn't get like a countdown. 5 minutes remaining or 2 minutes remaining or whatever the case may be from the ring announcer. Has TNA typically had time limits before?
Not to my knowledge, no.
So that was very weird that this match out of all of a sudden 20-minute time limit.
Yeah. No, AEW does, because you'll hear Justin Roberts do those time calls. I don't believe that's a regular occurrence in TNA. I think they just needed some sort of story device to do that initial tease before Santino came out. But like when I heard the bell, I mean, you heard the reaction from that crowd. That was my reaction. Like, there's no fucking way they're ending the match like this. Like, I don't think so. This is supposed to be their WrestleMania, and you're not ending that match this way. So then when Santino came out and everybody cheered, and when he started making his announcement, he said, well, when we're on pay-per-view, there are certain time, limits that we have, and people booed. He goes, but, and then he made the mention of, we're going to add 5 more minutes to the match, and everybody exploded. And at that point, you had Leon Slater back into one corner. You had Javon Evans in the other corner. And like this building, like this crowd was so fired up. And at that moment, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know what? That was actually a pretty clever thing to do, because now they've just taken like the electricity in this building from this level to that level. And I'm thinking, okay, great. We're going to get a clean winner. But now it just got elevated a little bit and everybody's into it. And they call for the bell, and then we got the final few minutes, and then it just was more just insanity that followed until the other insanity that followed.
Yeah, there was just a sense of urgency that I have not seen in quite some time between these guys. There was a Spanish fly there that fucking literally broke the crowd. And shout out to Tom Hannafin and Matt Raywald for the call. They were fantastic on the call here. All of a sudden, the lights went out, and Dark State from NXT just appears in the ring. Crowd is chanting, fuck these guys, fuck these guys. And they beat up both Leon Slater and Javon Evans, and the match went to a no contest. So they went 20 minutes for Santino to restart the match because everybody was upset, only for them to then go another 90 seconds or so and then give us another non-finish. So 2 non-finishes in the same match with one of the more unappealing stables in WWE recent memory. And that was it. But there was news on this. And when Jason and I read this news, our reaction was the same. We were not surprised by this piece of news that came out. Supposedly, WWE had significant say in the ending of Leon Slater and Javon Evans. Now, this is coming from, I don't know who this is from. Let me read the report here. Obviously, the report notes...
It might be five. I want to say five.
Sports Illustrated.
Is it Sports Illustrated? Okay.
Yeah. So Sports Illustrated says multiple sources have indicated that WWE had a significant say in the creative direction of this match, which ended in a no contest. The report states that while Carlos Silva, TNA president, has publicly stated that the career process for shared talent is a collaboration, sources have indicated that WWE especially has a lot of pull when its talents are utilized on TNA programming. The decision to have Dark State interfere and cause a no contest rather than having either Slater or Evans take a clean loss is seen as a way to protect both guys. The two men obviously had an incredible match. People are talking about it being match of the year, if not one of the best matches of the year. Went 20 minutes like we just discussed, and then restarted only to end with Dark State's interference. Now... I said on, I know, Jason. I said on Twitter that you don't do that, especially with what we got. You just left a lot of people unhappy. Now, granted, I don't know how many people are going to go back and say, "Oh man, this show sucked because of this ending." I mean, it was still largely a very good show, but the one thing that people are going to remember is that non-finish with this match. Now, I don't like, and this is coming from me specifically, I don't like the abundance of non-finishes, DQs, no contests, promoters and creative teams just going into situations where they are afraid to give someone a win and someone a loss. Everything is about protecting talent. Now, I said on my end, what the fuck are we protecting two 21-year-olds from? As if this is going to make or break their fucking career. Like, I don't understand that. Now, go ahead.
It's not, but you're missing the point. That's not what's going on here. What's going on here is that WWE did not want their 21-year-old talent to lose.
But their 21-year-old talent lost to Sami Zayn on Friday Night SmackDown, which I know is a WWE show, but he lost.
But it doesn't matter. He lost to Sami Zayn, who's a WWE main roster talent. They don't want their 21-year-old phenom, who they've been starting to give more attention to on even the main roster shows, to go in there and lose to the TNA 21-year-old phenom. And that really is what this is all about. Because like you said, neither one of these guys loses anything if they come out on the losing end of a match like that. Both those guys would have gotten a standing ovation when that match was over. And that is all anybody would have been talking about this weekend, is how their stock just got raised exponentially in maybe the match of the year, right? It would have been just, believe me, nobody is going to look at this and go, well, gee, you know, Javon Evans lost, and boy, he's buried 6 feet under. He lost to the TNA guy. And nobody is going to say that about Leon Slater. So when I heard that report, and I want to say maybe it was John Alba then at Sports Illustrated, but when I heard that report, I was not at all shocked, because it was clear as day to me the reason why that finish was done. I am sure that TNA, if they had full control over that match, would have had Leon Slater beat Javon Evans, and there would have been a clean finish, and he would have retained the X Division Championship. And I could also understand them not wanting to put the X Division Championship on Javon Evans, because at almost every single instance here in this partnership that we have seen between these two companies, it's been WWE people, NXT people, taking championships from TNA. Only when the Hardys finally won the NXT tag team titles this week, that was the first time that a TNA talent or a TNA team had won gold from the WWE side. I think maybe ever. And I think we even joked about it, like, yeah, it's the Hardys. Like, they're basically also, they're WWE guys, let's be honest here. So it was like a safe choice. So like, JC Jane won the Knockouts Championship, and Trick Williams has had the TNA World Heavyweight Championship for months, since like May or June, I think. And it's like, you should not be putting the X Division Championship on Javon Evans, because at some point, like, enough is enough. So of course it was WWE wants their guy to win. TNA doesn't want their guy to lose. And this is what happens politically, the downside of a relationship like this. And I think this relationship has been a net benefit to both sides, and it's exciting for the fans. But the drawback is that you have politics that are played, and that seeps into this, where you have egos, and it's like, well, we don't want our guy to lose, and we don't want our guy to lose, so we have to come up with a compromise. And the compromise is usually dog shit. The compromise is a non-finish like we got on Sunday.
But didn't you say that Leon Slater pinned Javon Evans in that Showdown Survivor Series match?
Yeah, well, he eliminated him. He eliminated him in the match to build to what we were getting at Bound for Glory. It was to kind of build interest in the match that they were going to have. Sure. And actually, if you watch that Showdown show from Tuesday, it was Splitsville. It was right down the middle, because you had 4 matches, and it was TNA got 2 wins and NXT got 2 wins. So it was even Steven. But that doesn't matter. This is the championship match. This is the one-on-one match. And so just, when we talk about this, that's really what's going on here. WWE did not want their guy losing to the TNA guy.
Well, it's certainly fucking stupid, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, of course it's stupid. It's like, I understand why it happened, and I'm not even going to put the full blame on TNA for it, but it is very stupid. When you have a match like that, and people are like, well, they're probably going to run it back. They may do it again. There's a rumor that they might do the match again at Halloween Havoc, because NXT has a Halloween Havoc show coming up. I want to say, is it the 27th? I don't know. It might be October 27th, but it's coming up at the end of this month. And so maybe we get a rematch, and maybe at that point we get a clean winner. Although it's hard for me to envision, like, if they just run the match back, like, should we expect the outcome to be any different this time? I mean, maybe it will be, but like, if you're TNA, all the people now are shitting on you because on your biggest show of the year, you had this finish to such a great match that went over like a wet fart. And it sucks because that match was so great. It did a disservice to both those guys to end the match that way, let alone Dark State, to be the ones to go out there and do it. I mean, they're trying to push these guys as something. They're going to keep trying. It ain't working in my opinion.
They can try all the fuck they want. I ain't paying attention.
I mean, individually, some of them may end up making it as stars and some of them won't. But this Dark State shit, I mean, this is just...
It's like fucking Retribution.
Yeah, well, Retribution, but Retribution with developmental talents who don't even have the experience level of a Mustafa Ali or a Donovan Dijak. At least they had guys like that in Retribution who tried to make it work. But yeah, it was such a terrible, terrible way for a match like that to end.
Yeah, you could have went for the clean finish and still gotten the same result to get us to a rematch just based off mutual respect, or maybe Leon Slater looked at Javon Evans and willingly gives him another match because he's earned it just by the way he competed. And what I thought was Leon Slater, and this is why, Shawn Michaels and WWE going to do what they want to do, but Leon Slater beat Moose at Slammiversary for this X Division Championship. On what planet are they going to look at Leon Slater beating Javon Evans as a bad thing if he beat fucking Moose for the championship? I don't get it.
It doesn't matter, though. You're missing the point. It doesn't matter.
I'm trying to make logic out of it. I know what you're saying, but I'm just trying to be logical.
He could have beaten Bron Breakker. It doesn't matter. He's the TNA guy. He's not their guy. So it doesn't matter who he beat. It doesn't matter how big or small he is or how impressive he was. It's politics, And I think I heard you the other day make the comment they should have called an audible, right? Didn't you mention something about how if it were you would have called an audible and, had a clean finish in the match?
Sure.
You can't do that. If you're TNA, you can't do that because you're working with WWE. You can't have the TNA folks in the back. Oh man, this match is going so great.
To be fair,
Hey, Shawn Michaels, fuck you. We're calling an audible right now. Yeah.
To be fair, I said that before this report was leaked by Sports Illustrated.
Well, but even if the report wasn't leaked by Sports Illustrated, it's pretty obvious, why that finish went down the way it did. So, yeah, you can't really, I know it sounds good, but you can't call an audible in that situation because you're not the only one, with booking influence over that match. Their hands were kind of tied. But everybody was like, LOL, TNA. So I can't even put all the blame on them. Because, of course, WWE is going to flex their muscle. It would not shock me if WWE is really the conduit between them and whoever they end up signing this new television deal with. Like if they provided some sort of assistance in some way, especially if they end up making a deal with the CW or with A&E. WWE has been very beneficial to TNA. TNA does not put 7,700 people or whatever the actual number was in that building in the Tsongas Center in Lowell were it not for this partnership with NXT.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. And they don't put whatever the number was at the UBS Arena. It doesn't happen either. So they don't want to, burn that bridge or bite the hand that is kind of feeding them in a way. They want to make nice and they want to be good partners to WWE. And unfortunately, this is sometimes what we're going to end up with.
Yeah, Dark State coming out there, in the grand scheme of things, didn't even make sense. I don't even know why they went for Dark State to interfere here, but they did what they did.
For the heat.
The heat. It's go away heat. Yeah.
They got the wrong heat.
But Dark State, they lost the tag team championships to the Hardys at their Showdown show, so you would think that they would want to go after the Hardys to get their championship back. I don't know what they have to do with Leon Slater and Javon Evans, but maybe we'll find out something starts here, and maybe they just don't care about the tag team championships. It was just a fucking mess. All in all, an unbelievable match. If there's one thing you guys got to go out of your way to watch, it's that one, and it's probably going to end up in the top 3 on many people's list for match of the year. To me, from what we've seen, I don't remember everything, but it may be my number 1 or number 2 match of the year. This was fucking incredible in every sense of the word. Hardys, speaking of which, Hardys and Dudleys tag team championships on the line, both NXT and TNA tag team championships. They labeled this one final table, and this went 15 minutes. Now, I know a lot of people moaned and groaned, Jason, when this match was announced at Slammiversary. They built to it. They gave you a little bit of a backstory here and a reason why this was taking place and why they wanted to wrestle each other. At the end of this was innocent enough where I just kind of took off my critical glasses and being overly analytical, and I just enjoyed it for what it was, because these two teams are two of the greatest tag teams ever in the history of the business. And I said, we are lucky to have, or at least live in a timeline where we got 25 years of both of these teams, and we saw the best and the worst of both of these teams, grew up watching these teams, they are basically a part of both of our childhoods, number one. Number two, we still have the Hardys operating at a semi-high level in 2025. I wish they'd stop taking the risks that they do, at least some of them, like Jeff Hardy here in this match, which we'll get into. But we are lucky to have the Hardys in the capacity that we have them, and they are now belt collecting in their own right. They have 4 different tag team championships, so they're finding huge success even now in 2025. I've seen a lot of people shit on the ending of this match. And I don't want to jump ahead here, but I enjoyed this for what it was. What did you think about this in totality when the bell rang and Bubba and Devon took their boots off? What did you feel at the end of this?
I thought it was a great moment there at the end, and I took the match for what it was. It was one final table match. Like, this was the last chance to see these two teams in the ring, in that sort of setting where we are 25 years later, after they had their tables match at the Royal Rumble of Madison Square Garden. It's also 25 years after the first TLC match. So they really were innovators of that whole TLC era, for better or worse, right? They rang that era of TLC matches in. They made them popular. And here we are 25 years later. It's the anniversary. And I think Devon has been pretty open in saying that the next match he has, which is this one, would be his last. So you knew that coming in. Right. And then they threw the championships in there just to add something to it. So you had the TNA titles and the NXT titles on the line. And I thought that they gave us everything they physically could. Like, if you watched, and I was watching Devon in this match in particular, he wasn't moving around too great. But he also has had some very serious health issues in recent years. I don't recall if I want to say it was a stroke. It might have been a heart attack. I think it was a stroke. But the fact that he was even in there, and able to wrestle is pretty unbelievable. And they just had to hit the greatest hits. That's it. That's all they had to do. So you got the wazza, you got that, and you got the 3D, and you got the whisper in the wind. And then, of course, you mentioned Jeff Hardy. And they had the table set up in the aisleway, and Devon starts climbing the ladder. And I'm like, there's no fucking way that Devon is climbing this ladder. He is terrified of heights, believe it or not. And I said they may have gotten him to climb the ladder and hang from the belt, the rung with the belts in that first TLC match, but at 50 whatever he is now, he ain't climbing that ladder. So he quickly came down, and he's laying there, and Jeff Hardy goes up. And what was this? This really was a recreation of that spot from WrestleMania all those years ago when they had that triangle ladders match. The only difference is that I think it was Bubba on the table instead of Devon. So Bubba moved. And here Devon moved, and Jeff Hardy crashed and burned. And, on the replay, it actually looked worse at first, because at first it looked like Jeff almost took a header and didn't quite get the rotation on the Swanton. And he actually did get the rotation, but what happened is he smacked the back of his head, I think, on the bottom rung of the ladder.
Yeah, he undershot it.
Well, but just the way he landed, the back of his head hit, and you could see he was putting his hand behind his head to make sure he wasn't bleeding. And he ended up being okay. At least not bleeding anyway. So that was a little scary. But you had to know he was going to do something in this match. And honestly, of all the things he could have done, I'm glad it was that and nothing more, right? Because he could have done a lot worse than that. So they did the greatest hits. And then the finish, and I did see people shitting on the finish. I got instantly what they were going for. I could see where people would look at that and go, that's pretty underwhelming. But I understood what they were going for. This was the Shawn Michaels, Ric Flair WrestleMania 24 moment is what this was. This was, bringing Old Yeller behind the barn and, putting a slug in Old Yeller's head. This was Bubba Ray Dudley turning around. His partner is gone. He's got these two guys standing there with chairs in their hand, and he accepted his fate. Remember I mentioned this in my review. Remember the match on Dynamite last year with Adam Cole and Malachi Black?
Yeah.
And there was a moment. It might have been Malachi's last match, but there was that moment where he might have been either on his knees or he was sitting on the mat, and he just accepted his fate, and he let Adam Cole blast him with the boom, and he kneed him right in the face. That's what it was. Like, he's looking at them and going, all right, like, I accept my fate. And they put him through the table, because the object was you got to put each member of the opposing team through a table to win. And so that was the finish that they opted to do. And I thought it was fitting. I thought it was fitting. Was it the most exciting match in the world? No. But all things considered, and considering, how beat up they are, and 25 years later, I thought they did pretty well. Jeff Hardy, it's kind of scary to think, but Jeff Hardy is probably physically the one who was holding up the best out of everybody that we saw moving around in that match. I didn't mind the ending. I thought it was very fitting. And then the post-match is really where all the emotion came into it, because I don't know if the Hardys were clued in about that or not. I'm guessing they were. But taking the boots off, very symbolic. That's what you do when you're done in the ring. I don't know if that means Bubba is truly done wrestling or just the Dudleys are done, because Bubba still does indies. Devon, I 100% believe is done. Bubba, I'm not sure. But as a tag team, they're done. And so how appropriate for them to give their boots to the Hardys and share that moment. And when they're all hugging, it reminds you of WrestleMania 28, the end of an era. And that hug that Undertaker and Triple H and Shawn Michaels had. I said that we had two matches this weekend that really felt like the end of an era. John Cena and AJ Styles felt that way to me, because we know AJ's career is going to wind down next year. Cena's done. They both came up around the same time. And so it kind of felt like the end of an era. This, though, really was the end of an era in this match.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think that the Dudleys, at least as a tag team here, retiring. John Cena's retiring in December. AJ Styles says he's retiring next year. Tanahashi retiring at Wrestle Kingdom. Megadeth, one of my favorite metal bands, is calling it a day. Their last album comes out in January. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
That's crazy. So we're losing a lot of our childhood, man. Holy shit.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
No, I mean it's pretty crazy. We didn't even mention the cameo from Spike Dudley.
Spike Dudley was out there. Yeah, he came out. He didn't really have a factor in the match, but he was out there to give them their glasses.
Good for him, man. I was worried when he came out there. I said, "Oh my God, they're going to make him the sacrificial lamb. He's going to take some ridiculous bump." He was like, "Nope, let me give you your glasses, and I'm getting the hell out of here." So good for him.
Yeah, everything that you uttered, I feel the same way. This was exactly what it needed to be. And kudos to Matt and Jeff. They're holding up incredibly well. I know Matt lives and dies by his cold plunges. He posted another video on social media. I don't know
Jeff
how that feels.
Too.
He does too.
Got Jeff doing that too. Yeah.
Awesome. As long as we can preserve them, as long as we can, that's great. But this was very fitting, and I enjoyed this a lot. Mike Santana, Trick Williams, TNA Championship. This was the main event. Trick Williams, again, I'm not the biggest fan of Trick Williams, but obviously he has it. Whatever it is, he has it. He's a great promo, in my opinion. He's got the look. He's got the aura. He's got the entrance. I just wish he would tie it up completely in the ring. Though this was not bad at all. I thought he held up very well, but he was in the ring with Mike Santana, and I think everybody that steps in the ring with Mike Santana just kind of is automatically elevated. This was the main reason I ordered the show. I was hoping that they wouldn't fuck this up. I'm glad that they did not. This went 15 minutes. Mike Santana is the new TNA World Champion. This did not get started traditionally. The bell did not ring, at least for a couple of minutes, because there was a big attack at the beginning of the show where Trick Williams tried to take advantage. Mike Santana came out there with Conan, who he met in the crowd, and he walked him to the ring. But there was blood. There was a struggle. They constantly showed Mike Santana's daughter sitting front row by the commentary. Trick Williams had a couple of choice words for her. So they really kind of played up that emotional aspect here. And he did win. He did win at the end with the spin the block. Got a couple of times with him. And that was it. TNA World Champion now is Mike Santana. Carlos Silva walked in to award Santana the belt. And then all of a sudden, Nick Nemeth comes out to cash in his stupid fucking trophy. And he dropped it in the middle of the aisleway. And then all of a sudden, as he's approaching the ring, Jason, the lights go out. And I'm saying, what the fuck is going on here? And all of a sudden, we see Elias in the fucking aisleway.
Of all the people, like the lights come back on. I'm like, and they're like, it's Elijah. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck is he doing out here? After this main event. Because if you remember, he tore his triceps on NXT many months ago. So he's been out injured. And so he's standing there and he waffles Nemeth with the guitar. And then he kind of tips the hat to Mike Santana. And I'm like, I don't know why they just did that. That was incredibly dumb. But okay, can we please get back to the celebration here? This man just won his first world championship in this company, and you're interrupting it with this nonsense. And then we see Frankie Kazarian is in the ring. So the angle continued. But But here's the kicker. So Frankie Kazarian wins the gauntlet earlier in the night, and he wants to cash in, but he can't because he doesn't have physical possession of the trophy. And the trophy is in the aisleway. So evidently, you have to physically have this trophy in your hand, and I guess hand it off to the referee, I guess, because everyone has to copy Money in the Bank. And so he can't do it, and he gets put down on his ass, and then they just continue on with the celebration. This didn't ruin the celebration, but this was so stupid and unnecessary. I don't know why this had to be here. I don't know what the purpose of any of this was. You could have done this on Thursday on Impact.
That's exactly what I said.
What the fuck are they doing? This is a special moment here. This man finally brought the championship back to your company. Trick Williams from NXT has been parading this title around for months. And Mike Santana has worked his ass off. His family is there. His daughter is there. And you interrupted with this bullshit. It just felt so out of place. And once we got all the silliness and all the nonsense out of the way, then came that special moment where he invited his daughter into the ring. And Santana has said, like, it was a comment that his daughter made. I don't know if it was last year or a couple of years ago, but she had made a comment to him because he was in a bad place. And you know this.
Yep.
You know, the demons that he had with alcohol. And it was a comment that his daughter made that really woke him up. And she really did save his life and turn his life around and his career around. He owes it all to her. And so you have this moment where he's bowing to her. He's on his knees. He hands the championship to her. That right there is what it's all about. Like, that's the moment right there. Not the nonsense that came before it. That's the moment right there. And the blood pouring down his face and all. So that was awesome. That was great to see. And anybody who either knows Mike Santana or has worked with him or has seen the work that he's put in, you know, he lost 14 months of his career to an ACL injury. And I know that was very frustrating for him. And there was a lot that was very frustrating for him when he was in AEW because he wasn't happy there. And what's cool about it is that he decided to take a chance on himself, right? He had a guaranteed good thing going there, but he said, you know what? I can do more and I could do more on my own. I need to try this. So he left. He left and he reinvented himself and he became world champion somewhere else. And he was having killer match after killer match. And slowly but surely, there was a buzz around Mike Santana, and he got the contract with TNA. Finally, people were able to say, hey, this guy's more than just a tag team wrestler, right? Physically, he went through a physical transformation, got himself in the best shape of his life. I like when good things happen to good people. And Mike Santana is good people. And there's more people now who know what he brings to the table than ever before. And this is just the beginning. I mean, he's the TNA World Heavyweight Champion now, but I mean, he can go even higher than that. And I'm sure he will. But this moment right here is what this show and what wrestling is all about, right? It's about moments like what we saw at the end of that show.
Yeah, none of that should have happened, in my opinion. You only get one of those moments, and that moment should have been reserved for him and his daughter only. So I don't know who had a say in that nonsense that happened. Wouldn't be surprised if it's WWE, but that did not need to happen. And everything that Jason said about Mike Santana, I said on my stream as well, if there's anybody that deserves this moment, there's nobody better than Mike Santana. He's worked his ass off. And I gave a little bit of a backstory, Jason, on my stream on Sunday, where I remember Brian XL came to both of us and said that he wanted to put the world championship on Mike Santana. And you and I both looked at him and said, that's fucking great. Let's do it. And then when Mike Santana was having those banger matches every single week, the whole reason was to put the championship on him, to put a spotlight on him, and because Brian knew exactly what he was capable of. If there's anybody that's in the corner of Mike Santana, Brian XL fucking was first and foremost. Let's get this guy to the level that we know he can be, because they did jack shit with him in AEW. So when he was having those killer matches, I think you and I went to Brian after one show and said, Brian, the best creative decision that you maybe made in House of Glory history is to put the belt on Mike Santana. And I firmly believe that, in my opinion anyway, that to still be the case. That match with Red was incredible. There's so many lists of opponents that he went through in that reign is just tremendous. And I'm glad he is where he is now. And I see a lot of people after that saying, oh, Tony fumbled. Tony Khan fumbled. Listen, Tony Khan didn't even get handed the ball to fumble Mike Santana. He didn't give a shit. He didn't know what to do with Mike Santana. Even if Mike Santana was rebuilt the way he is now in AEW, he still wouldn't know. It's not fair to Mike Santana to even put him in that discussion. So stop. I hate when people mention that. Mike Santana got here on his own merits, and he's doing what he's doing because he brought himself here. So I'm very proud of this, and there's a lot of people in this industry. You know, we do the commentary thing, and we've seen it firsthand. I'm not a fan of many people, and I can personally admit that to a lot of you and to Jay. I'm not a fan of many people. If there's a guy out there that I am a true fan of and I'm very proud of, it's this guy right here. So this was a great moment and completely worth my $40.
Yeah, I mean, when it was over, I got the show for $34.95, and I felt like I spent my $34.95 well. I enjoyed the show overall. I mean, you mentioned before that it really got good from the Javon Evans match, but that's how it should be, right? You have the undercard, and the undercard builds to the bigger matches on the show. And I thought the bigger matches delivered outside of a couple of finishes that just were completely head-scratching to me. Despite that, I thought I got my money's worth, and I enjoyed the show.
TNA is rocking and rolling. We'll keep you guys updated on the TV deal. Within the next 2 months, we're going to hear something. I say they land on the CW. It's just a natural partnership, natural fit, you know?
Yeah, I'm thinking the CW. I'm thinking they move it from Thursdays to Wednesdays. I really feel like, I mean, would you be shocked if they do that? I mean,
absolutely not.
No, I would not. So wherever they land, whether it's A&E or CW or something that we're not thinking of, I find it hard to believe that wherever they land with Impact, it's going to be, any worse than where they are now. They've been on Access TV for so long, and there's not enough of an audience there to grow. If you want to grow this brand, you got to bring greater visibility to the show. And the way to do that is to get on a better network or streaming platform or wherever it is that they land. I'm sure whatever this deal ends up being, it will give them greater visibility. Maybe it will pay them a fairly substantial amount of money. We're not talking WWE or AEW money that they got, from Warner Brothers Discovery and from Netflix, but it should put them on a path to have the biggest year that they have had in many, many years. And there's going to be more eyeballs now on that product than there have been since the Spike TV days, which was many, many years ago. I hope they, take advantage of that and are able to capitalize on that and really grow the company and elevate them to that next level.
Yeah, we will keep a close eye on that. I'm quietly hoping for their success. That they got a great roster over there, and this partnership with WWE seems to be fun and incredibly fruitful for TNA. So we'll see what happens. But Halloween Havoc, Jason mentioned before that the rumor is Halloween Havoc, Javon Evans, and Leon Slater too. So hopefully that is the case. And I don't typically go out of my way to watch those NXT PLEs, but if that's on the card, I will be seated on my couch, front row, best seat in the house. So let's get into some news here. Then we'll shift gears into SmackDown and then kind of follow into Crown Jewel and then the big one, Monday Night Raw, with the whole Vision fiasco that happened at the end of Monday Night Raw. We got some minor news and notes here. There were a couple of releases, nobody major from WWE, but WWE made some cuts, and Ridge Holland was one of them, which we'll start with him because he's the biggest name of them all. Ridge Holland's WWE contract was not renewed. So Ridge Holland not being brought back. The thing with him is that he's out for 6 months with a foot injury. So Brian Alvarez reported this yesterday from the Wrestling Observer Radio. He's clarified that the contractual status of Ridge Holland, revealing that the recently released star was on NXT money and an NXT contract. He was on the main roster, if you guys remember. He supposedly asked to be moved to NXT to kind of revitalize his career. Now, he was making main roster money, opted to go down and work NXT, and then they obviously adjusted his contract because they didn't want somebody down there making main roster money while working NXT. So Holland announced that WWE would not be renewing his contract when it expires on November 14th. The decision was made while he is now out with a serious foot injury that resulted in surgery. Alvarez says, with Ridge Holland, I know many people have been saying he was making main roster money. He wasn't. When they sent him down to NXT, he was there for years. I think a couple of years at least, he was making NXT money. He's not making main roster money anymore, so it's not like he was making some giant main roster contract. He was making NXT money, and they won't pay him during the time that he's out with injury. Holland's been with WWE since 2018, and he's been primarily featured on NXT since December of 2023. Now, he got injured in a match against Moose at a TNA TV taping. He suffered a Liz Frank foot injury This is the same injury that AJ Styles suffered from, and also went on to say that if it was any more serious, he could have ended his career with it. So as now he prepares for life after WWE, former rugby player, obviously he's got to go through rehabilitation, and hopefully we see him back somewhere healthy very soon. Jason, I mean, how fucked up is it that they cut him? And this is not the first time WWE did that they cut him in the middle of this injury. Like, I mean, like at least, like I don't understand why so heartless.
Well, Alvarez said they cut him. They did not cut him. We need to clarify this. What he said in his announcement is that he's been informed that they will not be renewing his contract. His contract is up next month, and they said we were not going to renew your deal. So that's different than saying they cut him, they released him. They did not, by his own admissions. So that was something that just was a little misrepresented there. I had also seen something, and maybe it was Alvarez who said this, where supposedly he had taken a pay cut, I guess, being in NXT of something like $200,000 less than what he was making on the main roster. So whatever the actual figures were, he clearly was making less money than he was when he was on TV on SmackDown, let's say.
Yes, this was Alvarez. He was offered a 1-year extension at about $200,000 less than what he's been making on the main roster, and he accepted it.
That was about a year. Was that a year ago, or was that? I don't know how long ago.
November 2024.
Okay, so that was about a year ago. So on the one hand, he wasn't cut. They are, paying him through, I guess, next month. And they are covering the cost of his rehab, I believe, is what Holland said. But yes, it is fucked up that he suffered this injury in a match against Moose. So I saw the video. I remember when Moose actually physically had to help him to the back. He suffered the injury in that match. And I think in his statement, Holland said, he's got a family of 5 to support. And so his deal is up next month. And then that's it. They're not going to pay him. And he's going to be out for at least 5 or 6 months. Before he could even work. He's a wrestler. He can't wrestle. He can't work. And that's for 5 or 6 months. And he's got, kids at home, obviously. So that aspect of it is fucked up. But I do think it's important to note that he wasn't actually cut, and they are covering the cost of his rehab. I think they should be doing a little bit more than that, considering he was hurt, in someone else's ring. But, this is WWE. And in WWE, you're just a cog in the wheel. And Ridge Holland, let's be honest, Ridge Holland was not an important cog in the WWE wheel. In their eyes, he was expendable. And that's why, they just sort of, threw this out there. Well, they didn't even throw it out there. He did. But it was just such a very under the radar type move because they weren't doing anything significant with him at the moment. I don't know if they just gave up on him or if this injury was something where they wanted to, get rid of him and they saw an opportunity to do so. I don't know exactly what was going on in their heads when they made the decision. But he wasn't, an important part of the roster at the moment. And that makes you expendable in situations like this. And he wasn't the only one that we heard about this week in terms of turnover and developmental. But he was the most notable. And I don't even know if I would say that he was the most notable. I mean, he may have had main roster experience. But to me, the one that really shocked me and made me shake my head was Wes Lee.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him, yeah.
Yeah, because Wes Lee, also it was reported, I don't know if Lee himself has commented on it yet, but apparently Wes Lee has been released by WWE. And that one made me just go like, what? Why would you get rid of someone like Wes Lee?
Yeah, my chat was saying that on Friday. I was actually shocked. I'm like, he won the North American Championship, and he was part of what were they? MSK? They were fucking great.
Well, yeah. No, he was a tag team champion, and then later on, after they got rid of Nash Carter, he had to go it alone. And I thought that he was great as kind of the underdog babyface, and he won the North American Championship, and I think he held it for a while. And I felt like he had main roster potential as an underdog babyface. And he's a great wrestler. Desmond Xavier is a great wrestler. And the fact that they would just get rid of him as if, well, you know what, we don't see the value in keeping you around because we don't see there being main roster value or main roster potential in you is complete bullshit. Like, who made that call? Where'd that come from?
I have no idea. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it is. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense to me because you hear about a lot of these other cuts. They have a lot of turnover and developmental, and it's understandable that you have these people that don't have a lot of experience. if you're not progressing at a certain rate after a number of months, you may lose your job because you're not progressing as quickly as they would like. And they constantly are recruiting these talents and these athletes from other sports, and they have the NIL program and all of this stuff. I get that. That doesn't apply here. You can't look at Wes Lee and say, well, he wasn't progressing as quickly as we would like. Like, he's progressed. There had to be another reason why they got rid of him if he didn't request his release. And that just tells me you didn't see the value that he brought to being on Raw or SmackDown one day.
Well, there is no value in the main event scene on NXT. You can't tell me that you can't find a spot for Wes Lee in a depleted NXT men's division. Like,
oh, absolutely. Well, I'm just looking at it from if the thought was we had to kind of evaluate people and we didn't see main roster potential in him. I think that's bullshit. But you're right. Right now, they could use somebody like him because I'm sure Obafemi is not long for that NXT men's division. He's going to be on his way up. They got Ethan Page
defending the fucking title against Dr. Wagner Jr. Like, what's going on?
Right. But they got Ricky Saints now as the NXT champion. And so you mean to tell me that you can't, take someone like Wes Lee and build him up as somebody that you can have, heel or babyface. I think he's a better babyface in the men's division in NXT. Of course you can. Absolutely.
Yeah, that was insane. Yeah, that was unfortunately two of the bigger names released. I completely forgot about Wes Lee. So yes, he would be the bigger of the two for sure. Kylie Ray is not being brought back. Her WWE ID contract is not being renewed. Kylie Ray is pregnant, so she is going to take care of that situation. So I could see why WWE would not be bringing her back. I mean, they had one thing in mind, and then she went to go do something else, and now she's off doing that something else. So that doesn't mean to say she won't be back and get back into pro wrestling. Family comes first, obviously. The other one is Zeta Steele, 21 years old. She was just recently at the House of Glory show on Friday. A big up-and-coming young talent in women's wrestling. And apparently, Jason, she is not being brought back as well. I don't know if it's a case of WWE not bringing her back or she's opted not to re-sign with WWE ID in their program and just go do her own thing.
This was her choice.
Okay.
So she opted not to renew her WWE ID contract. She was a little vague in why, but if you read between the lines, she said it just wasn't the right decision for her financially or just opportunity-wise. So she just recognized, like, you know what, I probably would be better off breaking out on my own and going elsewhere here. And she was the first WWE ID talent. So when they announced that first ID talent in November of last year, that was Zeta Steele. And I didn't know too much about her, but as I was doing my research and whatnot and looking through some of her interviews in preparation for her match with Indy Hartwell the other night, she has got a great personality. She's very young. She's 21 years old, but she has a charisma and a confidence about her that tells me that she is going to be a star on TV somewhere within the next 5 years. Like, she's really good. And the fact, and I talked about this on my show this weekend, she's not the only one who has opted to, exit the WWE ID program, and WWE ID has actually cut a lot of people. When I say cut, these people are not signed to full-time developmental contracts. The purpose of the program is essentially for WWE to identify certain talents, like they have like first dibs on them, and they get that designation. I think there might be some financial support. And then when they decide to, when the time comes, if they should decide to sign them, they get first dibs on that person. So that, AEW can't come in and sign them if they're like WWE.
It's like a cowboy branding cattle, huh?
Pretty much, yeah. They're putting their stamp on you, like WWE ID. And they may or may not sign you one day, right? But theoretically, they don't put any restrictions on you when you take your own independent dates.
Supposedly.
Except, I don't know that that's completely true.
Which may be some of the reason why she said, I'm just going to go do my own thing. I can't work over here, baby. I don't know.
Well, I mean, she may have felt like it was too restrictive. But again, I think she's going to do just fine. Whether she goes back to Japan. She had her first Japanese tour last year. She was actually one of the last opponents that Julia had before she left Japan. Julia had this big gauntlet match against a whole bunch of people, and she was in that gauntlet match. So she's going to do fine, but she is not the only person. And we're about a year in now to this ID program. And I guess it's more of like a long-term play. Can't really fully judge it at this point. I question how successful this program really has been because they have shed a lot of people. They just crowned the first ID champions over the summer. We had the first men's ID champion, women's ID champion. I think it was over SummerSlam weekend. Not a whole lot of fanfare for it.
Which was Kylie Ray. Yeah, Kylie Ray was. They haven't made a determination on what's happening with that now.
And it's been almost a month. It's been like 3 or 4 weeks, and there's been no clarity of what they even plan to do because they don't really. It doesn't seem like they really give too much of a shit.
You want to know why, Jason? Because it's WWE trying to play nice and work within a system that looks fair, but they're pissed off now because they have to go through these fucking loopholes and play nice when all they want to do is just gobble everybody up like Pac-Man and own everybody. Yeah. That's what they have to do.
Sure. I mean, they want to have their hooks into everybody, and then certain schools have ID designations. Of course, that blew up in their face with Knox Pro, and they had to rescind the ID branding, after the whole Rajah Jackson incident. So again, we're about a year in. I don't know that I would call this program a huge success. Maybe I'll feel differently when we look at it in a couple of years. Maybe it'll make more sense. Theoretically, it makes sense, but I don't know that it's necessarily working out the way that they had intended for it to. But Zeta Steele is going to be a big star. Definitely go check out some of her work and some of her promos. She's going to be a star.
And if WWE is without her, I'm assuming they have eyes and ears everywhere. So as soon as she starts to gain some momentum for herself, she'll be back on that radar like that. My guy Cappuccino Jones is still there, though. He's still on Evolve.
Is he?
I think so, yeah.
Well, I think Marcus Mathers, I believe, is also... is he still? I think he's still a WWE ID talent. And we've had him in. He's also very talented. So that's another name to watch out for. There's a lot of very talented, men and women out there. And I have always looked at it and said the best thing to do is to go everywhere. Like everywhere you can. Not even just in this country, but like whether it's Japan or Mexico or Europe or Australia or wherever it may be. Like that's how you get well-rounded. When you wrestle in these different places and you get these different experiences in these different countries and different promotions. Like, I get it. WWE's the big time, and maybe you aspire to be there. So if they put their stamp of approval on you, like, oh, that's a big deal. I'm a WWE ID talent. But for some people, you know what? I could see where it works against you. And sometimes you just got to break out on your own, create a buzz. Because I guarantee you, if someone like her or anybody, they go out on their own and they get better and they generate a buzz, WWE is going to want them back. They'll be more in demand, 2-3 years down the road. They'll have everybody, and it won't be for an ID deal either. It'll be for a proper deal at that point. You got to bet on yourself.
Some of the other names that were released, a lot of these were WWE LFG names. BJ Ray, Summer Sorrell, Hayes Jameson.
Some of these names.
Jin Tala.
I've been in a haze after having Jameson on some nights, so maybe there is something to that.
I don't even know what Hayes Jameson looks like, bro. I don't know what that is.
Couldn't pick him out of a lineup, could you?
No. Jamar Hampton and Draco Knox. Also, Stevie Turner, who was kind of an assistant to Ava on NXT. She ran the show with Robert Stone when Ava wasn't there. She also was the Evolve general manager. She put out a tweet saying, I don't believe I get to wrestle now after 30 or so days. It's like, this is what... Yes, thank you for letting us know that it's prison in NXT. They're not allowing you to wrestle.
Well, she had not wrestled a match, I think. I don't know that she has wrestled a match since February.
Yes, February, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know if there was an injury along the way, but obviously she's ready to wrestle, and now she's excited to get back out there.
Good for her. She gets to wrestle in 30 days or so. So that's that. What else do we got here before we get into SmackDown? Rey Mysterio's on his way back. This is news. Rey Mysterio is going to be on his way back. He was at the Performance Center this week, continuing to work towards being medically cleared. He's been out of action since April of this year. And obviously, a return for Mysterio would boost WWE programming, whether it's on Raw or SmackDown. Doesn't matter where he goes. And he is heavily speculated to be featured Survivor Series weekend, being that it will be taking place in his hometown of San Diego in California. So I had mentioned, and Jason had mentioned a couple weeks back on this very show, that Rey Mysterio obviously could be integrated into the AAA stuff with Dominic now that Dominic is holding the AAA Mega Championship. So we don't really know what's going to happen there. We mentioned Santos Escobar. He was out of WWE and now he's back in WWE. Who knows how he's going to be integrated. So they got a nice lucha presence there, and Mysterio is only going to enhance that. So it's going to be great to get him back. Any one of these weeks now, he'll be back on WWE TV.
Yeah, and his son is supposedly, if Meltzer is to be believed, his son is earmarked for a pretty big match in San Diego on that Survivor Series show.
Yeah. Also, one of the names I forgot to mention, Lance Anawahi, is not. He didn't make it, Jason.
Oh my God, he didn't make it.
I guess Meltzer was, after all these months, finally correct.
He didn't make it. You know what though? Like I feel it's terrible. I feel bad though because, and I think he said this in his statement. Like it just felt like he had just a streak of bad luck because it was about a year ago when they made the announcement of that latest PC class and he was in it and then he got hurt like right after that. I don't know what the nature of the injury was, but then at the beginning of the year when he was still out rehabbing from that injury, he suffered another injury. So he never wrestled a match for them. I think the last match he wrestled at all anywhere was in August of last year. And so they just
What was that for Hug?
We had him in Hog in like April of last year.
He wrestled Ramirez, didn't he?
He wrestled Carlos Ramirez.
He looked fucking great there.
Yeah, I mean, he looked as good as I'd ever seen him before. And so then it was months later, and then he got signed, but then he just was besieged by these injuries, and they cut him. You know, and they actually cut a member of the bloodline. They he's the son of Samu of the Head Shrinkers, and he's been working independently for a good 15 years now. So this was going to be his big break, and then for this to happen, it sucks, and I feel bad, and hopefully he can have some sort of resurgence or comeback. But I mentioned on my show, some people may not remember, he actually wrestled Shane McMahon once on an episode of Raw.
Really? No.
Yes.
I didn't know
this
that.
was 2019, the dark days of Raw, but this was, so maybe I can understand if you would have blocked out memories of that period.
Yes,
I don't
indeed.
blame you.
Now we'll get into the WWE stuff proper. SmackDown on Friday. The biggest takeaway from SmackDown, obviously, besides the show and what I thought was a solid show. I know Jason had his hog duties to take care of. He followed up when he got back home. But one of the bigger stories was that WWE superstars are slowly, we hope, starting to get their old CFO theme music back. Now, this happened on Friday when WWE had their 8 a.m. SmackDown, which I did not watch. I waited till 8 p.m. Eastern time to watch the show. But I did get clued in on it because it was all over social media. Shinsuke Nakamura answered Sami Zayn's open challenge for the United States Championship. He came out to his Rising Sun CFO NXT Black and Gold theme. I'm like, every time we hear that, man, it's just a banger theme, one of the best theme songs they've ever made. It's a great song. Then we get the Street Profits on the very same show coming out to their old NXT Black and Gold theme, and their Def Rebel theme was fucking terrible. Like, I don't know what that was. I don't know where they came up with that and where they thought that was the Street Profits. What we heard from CFO Money was the Street Profits. That was it. So that happened on Friday. Then on Monday, I don't want to jump ahead here, but it kind of goes in line with the story. Kairi Sane came out to her Final Voyage CFO theme music. So it's like, what's going on here? So there was a report from WrestleVotes saying that a lot of the superstars are outwardly just upset about their theme music. And this was on Friday morning. Several superstars have been requesting music changes for some time now, and the company's begun to grant some of these requests. The report specifically named Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. Sheamus, for sure, he's feeling the same way the community's feeling with his fucking awful theme. Two of the more outspoken names pushing for a change, a sentiment that's been echoed by fans on social media for months. Now, there was a report today, Jason, from bodyslam.net saying that Def Rebel is on the last year of their WWE contract. Now, nobody knows when this contract ends.
This what kind of ironclad contract was this? Every fucking week we hear stories of WWE cutting people. But like they have not been able to get rid of Def Rebel. What must this contract look like?
I don't know. I don't know. It should have been done fucking 3 years ago, to be quite honest with you. Now, Sheamus's music is one of the more egregious ones. Drew McIntyre, I think, is all right. It fits him, but I mean, if you go back to his original theme that everybody wants him to come out to, it's night and day with what the fans want. We don't know when this Def Rebel contract ends, but I don't want to go too much into this, Jason, because it's just going to be us repeating ourselves. We both know, everybody knows how grossly important theme music is to a pro wrestler and just the fans. I said it on Friday while you were at the Hog Show and I was live. I said the fans, they're losing interest in the show for many reasons. And one of the reasons, I believe, a very small reason, it's not the reason or a major reason, but one of the reasons why fans have just tuned out of the show is because it's just so fucking sterile. Not only creatively, but there's no identity. You can't identify with somebody. You can't emotionally attach yourself to a character and their work. Like, these musics go off and you don't know who's coming out. It's like you give the fans no reason to fucking chant or care. You got your Yeats, you got your fucking Seth Rollins, and everybody's humming along to his theme. But there's not many theme songs like that anymore, and there's not many theme songs where you could immediately within the first 2 seconds of that note hitting identify who the talent is, like a Stone Cold Glass Shatter or a Rock or a fucking Kane and so on and so forth. I don't know. Yeah, role model. If there's one that needs to be changed, it's her. I don't know what they do, but apparently, according to the bodyslam.net report, they want to work with more real musical artists, which we've seen done. We've seen Tool work with Penta and Ray Phoenix. Adam Jones from Tool. Kerry King from Slayer did something with Damian Priest theme. I don't know what extent they want to work with these talents, but...
Well, Becky just got new music, and that's a real band.
But I don't know where CFO went. I mean, did they break up? Did they?
Oh, yeah, they're done.
WWE still owns the license to these musics, though. So why don't they just go back to what worked, is what I'm saying.
That's a great question because, I mean, look, they will bring themes back. They brought Sheamus's old theme back for a period of time. And then after a few weeks, it was right back to the generic Irish, nonsense that he's been coming out to, which, dude, it's so bad.
Like you walk into a fucking Irish pub, they'll be playing that. That's what it is.
They probably would be embarrassed to be playing that, in all honesty. It's terrible. Like, at least get him the fucking Dropkick Murphys or something. I mean, you could do better than just, generic Irish tune number 14 out of some, stock catalog somewhere. Like you said, theme music is so important to a person's presentation. There are some people who are over because of their theme music.
Yes.
Like, that's how important theme music is. And so generic theme music is bad enough. Bad theme music. And there are people who have generic theme music on the roster, and then there are people who have just fucking terrible theme music that you can't identify, and it doesn't really fit them. It has no identity to it. And it really does. It hurts the presentation. So I'm sure they're very frustrated. My favorite story is still when Randy Orton, I think, was coming back, and they wanted him.
Yes.
They played some, it must have been Def Rebel, some new version of his theme. And what was his response? Like, get the fuck out of my face.
Like, I'm not using this shit. Just keep my own music.
He put his foot down. He's like, yeah, fuck that shit. I'm coming out to my song. I'm not coming out to that nonsense. So, but not everybody is in a position to do that. So we've been led down this road before where we thought there was a rumor some time ago, maybe last year, that Def Rebel, their deal's coming up, and then nothing happened. So I hope it's true, and I hope that they could take things in a different direction. I think some people having real songs would be cool. Then you're getting into issues of licensing. Now, we know Tony Khan does it all the time in AEW, and frankly, it's one of the things about the AEW presentation that I think is a plus.
Yeah.
You have those fun moments. When Bryan Danielson came out that first time in AEW to Final Countdown, that was a great moment. When Jungle Boy used to come out to, and temporarily now again he's coming out to Tarzan Boy, and there's other examples of that
Anarchy
too.
in the Arena had bodies hit the floor. Let the bodies hit the floor.
Oh my! But dude, that was
fucking great.
The best part of that match, until they looped it for the 18th time, and then it was
they brought in RVD for one time, and they got walked by Pantera.
They got Pantera. So that's something they do that I think WWE should start doing. And it's not like WWE doesn't have the money to do it. I'm not saying they should do it all the time. So I would like to see a little bit of that. And then maybe you do. You bring in certain real artists who what?
The chat is saying, imagine Def Rebels Randy Orton theme song, how it would start. They'd fucking have like a like a snake.
Like where's that static coming from? Where's that static coming from? What is that noise?
Or they just
My
have
God.
someone say, the Viper.
Dude, I could only imagine if he was like, I'm not coming out to this. How bad must that have been?
Oh, my God, man. That's exactly what they do, too.
Yes. And it's terrible. It's awful. So they're not going to bring back Jim Johnston, and I don't know. He's like 70-something years old now, so whatever. The Jim Johnston era is over. Hopefully
Age is only a number, man. Rob Halford from Judas Priest is almost 80 years old, and he sings like he's 30, man. Come on.
But I'm saying, like, realistically, they're not going to bring him back. There were clearly someone had it out for him. I think he's talked about this, and I believe him, that there was somebody politically that had it out for him, and they bumped him out. So they're not going to bring him back. Whether they go to one composer or they have a collection of different people, and which I think would be even better. You have input from different people, but you got to try something different. This Def Rebel experiment. I'm not saying everything they've done has been garbage, because Roman Reigns, and I'm not even talking about his current one, his heel bloodline one, right? That's a great theme. Rhea Ripley, like there are people that come out now who have really good theme songs. But the number of people who I think are harmed by their terrible music far outweighs the ones who come out to really good songs. So that needs to change. I hope this report is accurate, and let's get some new blood in there and get something going, because I don't know why it's taken this long. It blows my mind. When you have wrestlers, the talent themselves are complaining about it. It's not just you and me and the fans. Why does nothing get done?
I don't know.
Why does it take this long? It doesn't make any sense. We've been talking about Def Rebel for like 3 years now, and the complaints that people have had. I don't
maybe
understand
WWE didn't realize what Def Rebel was doing as far as their operation. A lot of it is AI generated, and a lot of people are standing against AI generated content, because look at what we're seeing on social media. I see fucking Mr. Rogers now cutting a WWE promo with fucking Martin Luther King and Tupac. Like, this is the content we're seeing now. This is ridiculous, dude. Like, have you seen some of this shit?
I have, and I honestly, I don't like it.
No, it's awful.
I know people have been sharing it. They think it's very entertaining. I think it's terrible. I really think it's very awful. But that is just that visual. But that is.
This is the fucking content we get.
It's not a beautiful day. It's not a beautiful day in the neighborhood today, motherfucker. Yeah,
imagine some faceless fucking geek making money off of this content, bro. They don't need to show themselves. They could just put this shit on TikTok and make fucking thousands upon thousands of dollars.
I think I saw something where Bob Ross came out and he had his paint palette and hit somebody with his paint. Like, Bob Ross is so pure. What are you doing? Why are you corrupting Bob Ross?
Bob Ross cutting a fucking angry WWE promo, bro.
An angry scripted WWE promo that we would have heard like 6 years ago. What the fuck was I even going to say? Oh, yeah. So there was a report earlier this year. I'd be very interested to see how this turns out, where they actually said Def Rebel was gaining more power, and they were starting to use them for like UFC, or they were planning on using them for UFC themes. So I don't know if this is just the WWE contract thing that's coming due and they'll still do stuff for UFC, or is this just the end of Def Rebel when it comes to TKO? I'm not sure about that. But dude, there have been stories, and I've covered this, about Def Rebel songs where they will sort of repurpose like people's voices, and the singer didn't know, and I don't know what's going on. Like, even when like Aleister Black came back, I was happy to hear his old song, but it's not really his old song. What they did was they took the CFO song, and I think they just I don't know, they did some sort of cover version of it.
It sounds computerized.
It's still, you know what though? It still sounds better than if they would have given him a brand new theme.
Yeah.
But the point is, yes, they're doing a lot of that sort of, AI type stuff, or going into a catalog and just picking generic stuff. That's not how it used to work. That's why people love, the Jim Johnston and Jimmy Hart and JJ Maguire. And you go back to that era. I don't think Jimmy Hart gets enough credit. Everyone talks about Jim Johnston. Some of those great like golden era WWF songs, that was Jimmy Hart. And some of the WCW songs as well. Shawn Michaels is still coming out at 60 years old, a sexy boy, because that was a Jimmy Hart song. So what happened to that? What happened to coming up with original songs based on each individual talent? You get a feel for it. Maybe you talk to them, learn a little bit about them. They don't do that anymore. Everything's computer generated.
I hate it. I hate it. Especially my brother does music, and he says a lot of the bands nowadays that are coming out with stuff, you could clearly see what is artist rendering for an album cover and what's AI generated. A lot of bands are going AI generated, and you can clearly see. And then you go to the community boards and the message boards and the fans of these bands, they hate it. People are outraged by this AI shit. So that's why I said maybe fans are just turned off by the AI stuff. Maybe they're kind of, leaning into it and kind of opening up their eyes a little bit more to what's going on. I hope that's the case, but like Jason said, we need to get rid of this shit and more genuine theme music that fits the characters for sure. But it was nice to see those 3 themes across Friday and Monday. So hopefully more of that is the same. Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura, that was the open challenge, Jason. What'd you think of this? I felt like this was good. They obviously brought back Tama Tonga here, Gorillas of Destiny face paint and all, and he was the one to kickstart the revival here of the MFTs. I don't know what they obviously Solo still wants his U.S. championship back, so I guess that's why they attacked Sami Zayn. But Nakamura was taken out as well. What'd you think of this? I thought this was a decent match.
Yeah, I thought it was the weakest match of all the ones he's had so far, but it was still good.
Yeah,
I mean, every match he's had is at least good. But it was the weakest of the bunch and, terrible finish. The thing with the MFTs, you could put paint on them, or clown makeup or whatever. It doesn't change. Like, if you don't take the time to really flesh these characters out, nobody is going to care about the MFTs. Now, you can put all the paint on your face that you want to. That's the biggest, difference between the MFTs and the Bloodline. Is that the Bloodline, right? And it was years, but they took the time to really tell stories with each character, and you got to feel something for each one of them, Jimmy and Jay and Sammy and Roman. And you don't have that with the MFTs. Like, what do we know about JC Mateo? Like, we know who he is. We know where he came
he's
from.
Jeff Cobb.
Right. He used to be Matanza.
Yeah, yes.
That's it. That's what we know. That's what we know about Jeff Cobb. What do we know about Tonga Loa?
Couldn't tell you.
You just proved my point.
That he botches a lot? I don't know.
Well, besides that, how dare you? He's the great Tonga Loa. What do we know about Tama Tonga other than yeah? Like, again, that's literally all we know about this guy. He makes weird noises. That's it. That's his thing.
And I guess the other guy is tall. That's what we know about him.
It's his fucking name, Tala Tonga. I mean, we couldn't come up with anything better for him. So, yeah, we don't know anything about these guys, and I don't give a shit unless you're going to take the time to tell me why I should care.
It's exactly what I said. A lot of people got on my case on social media when I said basically that same thing. You can put face paint on them, but I mean, if the creative ain't going to stand behind them, I don't give a fuck. I don't want to see them. Give it time, man. You got to be patient. This is they're back and they're trying again. Like, I don't give a shit, man.
Let it cook, JD.
Yeah.
Let it cook.
Yeah, let it cook, man. Take it off the fucking burner and throw it in the trash, man. We've seen 8 months of this shit. You kidding me? Nobody wants to see that. They fucking killed SmackDown with these guys, and now you're bringing them back to do what? Feud with the Wyatt Six, who you also dropped the ball with. They're not exciting either.
Boy, I tell you what, that face-off, I can't wait for the Solo Sikoa Nikki Cross match, man. I'm looking forward to that.
Did you, where did you watch this? Did you watch it on the VPN?
Where did I watch this? Yeah, well, yes, I did, because I watched it in the morning, late morning.
They chanted, holy shit, holy shit. I seen the clip on social media. And then when I watched the American version here, 8 p.m., they overdubbed it with fake crowd noise, and they took everything out. They were also chanting, fuck you, Solo, fuck you. Not this Solo, but that Solo. They were chanting that, too, and they bleeped that out, too. They completely got rid of it. They piped in fake noise where they chanted, this is awesome. I'm like, what? You took away the coolest moment from the show, and you fucking killed it, man. Between two groups that nobody gives a shit about. Like, why did you do that?
I don't know. We didn't get that on the VPN version, so I'm glad I watched it there. But, it felt like they were trying to at least shake things up a little bit. This was the first week coming off that report from last week that there were changes being made to the SmackDown creative team. And Road Dogg is still the head writer, but they were going to have some other people join the team to assist him. But there was a recognition. Clearly, there was a recognition that we got to make this show better. We got to make this show fun and engaging, because it's not. And so this was only the first week. But there were certain things that were done on this show that sort of made you think, okay, maybe they're taking steps to address this. Now, there's still a lot of work to be done. I'm waiting to see what they do with Julia and the United States Championship to try to address that issue, because that title has been just, you talk about fumbled, and compare it to what they've done on Monday. They've got a lot of work to do there and with the women's division. But we saw what happened in the main event, because the main event was last man standing, which I thought was very good, between Aleister Black and Damian Priest. And I like the move, putting Zelina Vega with Aleister Black. I like that move. And they're going to be a pairing now, it looks like, going forward. And that was a big win for him, coming out of that show. So there's hope that I have that SmackDown will begin to undergo some positive changes, but I'm taking a wait and see approach, because, Rome wasn't built in a day, and we have to give it a few weeks and see, a month from now, if we're still watching SmackDown with the same eyes that we've been watching it with. SmackDown just has not been a very good show. It just has not been a very interesting show. I just want them to shake the roster up a little bit and give us stories that we can actually buy into and get behind and look forward to. And for God's sakes, when it comes to the MFTs, if you're going to push them, please flesh these characters out more. Let's see more interactions with them. Let's learn something about these guys to make us care. Whether you want us to cheer them or boo them, I don't give a shit. Heel, babyface, whatever. But they've got to do more with them. It's just very surface level, lazy stuff.
Well, they've had 4 weeks to do that, and all we've heard from each member is, "I love you, Solo."
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, I love you, Solo. I love you, Solo. As he sits there in his chamber somewhere, like, okay, great. Why should I care?
I don't know.
That's my question. Why should I care? Tell me why I should care.
Because they'll be in War Games with the Wyatt Six, pal.
God forbid.
We'll get there. We'll talk about it, because I'm sure that's going to be a discussion when we talk about the Seth Rollins thing and where we go. But like Jason said, Damian Priest Black was a great TV main event. That fireball spot was great. We don't usually see that a lot at all on WWE TV. So that was a great spot. Zelina being paired with him is going to work, because I think she needed something and he needed something to get to the next level. She just needed something, period. So I think pairing them together is the right move. They did not refer to them as husband and wife, though. So I don't know if they are going to do that. I think everybody kind of knows by now, but we'll see. But I think that's going to be a great thing for both of them. Monday Night Raw. We had, actually, no, never mind Monday. Let's go Crown Jewel, and then we'll do Monday Night Raw. Crown Jewel on Saturday. I thought that Crown Jewel was a very good show. And this was definitely a lot better than what we got with WrestlePalooza. And one of the reasons, Jason, why I said it was, A, the match card was better, in my opinion. They gave us more of what we wanted to see. B, I felt like going into this show, now clearly they did it for the WrestlePalooza show because it was ESPN, the first show on ESPN. They use all these big keywords and buzzwords, and they made a big deal about it. I get that there was just a really huge push and an oversaturation of just let's develop hype for this, that, the more you do that, the very likelihood is you're just going to fall flat on your face, because it's never going to deliver as much as you say it is. So that show suffered because of that. It wasn't bad. It was just boring. Nothing really happened there. So with Crown Jewel, I was wondering what the ESPN rating was going to be, and apparently Andre Sale came out and gave it a B, which I think a lot of people after watching it said the same thing that I said. It was definitely better than a C. I enjoyed this show, and it was predominantly from, obviously, AJ Styles and John Cena, and then that great main event with Cody and Seth Rollins. I thought the tag team match with the ladies was good. I thought Stephanie and Tiffany Stratton was good, quick to the point, didn't really overstay its welcome. Even Roman and Bronson Reed was fun, and they did what they needed to do there. All in all, for the 5 matches, I had a very good time, even at 8 o'clock in the morning. I don't know what you thought about it, but I thought it was one of the better WWE PLEs of the year.
Well, I mean, it was a step up from WrestlePalooza. I thought it was a very good show. I would go probably B+ on the show. Yeah, you got your 5 matches that you always get. The Roman and Bronson Reed match. What I was more happy about there was they got the outcome right. Yes. I mean, Bronson Reed had to win that match. As a match, it was pretty basic stuff, but it was fun for what it was. The Women's Crown Jewel Championship match, also, I would say it was a pretty solid match. It was not as good as Stephanie and Io, at WrestlePalooza. It was not as good as some of the other women's matches we've gotten on these PLEs this year. It will not rank in the top mix. It was played very straight, and Tiffany Stratton suffers her first loss all year. And you had to know that was coming because they were really playing that up in the last few weeks, that she's unbeaten. She came into that match 17-0 on the year. Like she was the Undertaker, but with a bigger bust. So they did that match, and Stephanie Vicaire now has the Crown Jewel Championship. She's the Women's World Champion. And she pointed out something very interesting on Raw last night. I don't know if you picked up on this.
I did.
She said that she is the only woman in WWE history to win 4 different championships in the same year. And I said, holy shit, it's true, because she won the North American title in NXT and the NXT Championship. And it just goes to the point that I made on my show, which is that Stephanie is beloved. People like her, and they like the Devil's Kiss. And she's very likable, very talented. But you have to be careful, because is it too much too soon? She has been given a lot this year. Really, there's nowhere for her to go at this point. She's on top of the world. So I just hope they have some really good shit lined up for her in the months to come as we head into Rumble and Mania season, because my fear is that if they don't, you're going to get to a point where fans might just start to get bored and we know how fans can be. Mm-hmm. Likable today, not so likable tomorrow. It doesn't have to be the talent's fault. It could be the booking, but there's no struggle there. It's one of the reasons why I was kind of hoping they would hold off until next year to put the world title on her, which I think they would have done. Had Naomi not gotten pregnant, I think Naomi was going to win at Clash in Paris. And they probably would have ended up holding off on that Stephanie run until next year. So instead they opted to go with it now, and it's just like, all right, you handed everything to her, literally every championship there is to give her. You better have a good plan to follow up on that. You better have a really strong feud for her going into WrestleMania season, or people are going to get bored. And I fear we're going to look at this and go, when she finally loses, like, man, what an uneventful run. You know what I mean? That she had as the champion. She's in a better position, though, than Tiffany is, because the Raw women's division is more stacked than the SmackDown one. So they got plenty of talent there. It's just what you do with that talent. That's my only fear. So I hope that doesn't happen to Stephanie. We'll see. Rhea and Io against Asuka and Kairi. I enjoyed that match. I thought that was a really good tag team match. I'm enjoying that story. I'm enjoying this almost like heel anime villain version of Asuka that we have going. She's fantastic in this role. She smacked the shit out of Kairi last night on that show. At that backstage segment, Kyrie's like, look, I have a bruise.
I actually felt bad for Kyrie after the slap, honestly.
Well, that's the point. Like, they want you to have sympathy for this poor woman who just is under her thumb. So the tag match I thought was good. You said that the great Cody and Seth match. I wouldn't go that far. I thought they had a strong match. That match didn't hit for me, I think, the way it hit for you. And it's interesting, the tale of two matches. The thing that really kind of bothered me, I think, was when I saw Cody hit that super Cody cutter off the ropes, and then Rollins kicked out. And we had a lot of moments in that match, a lot of near falls, a lot of kickouts. We also had it in the John Cena AJ Styles match. It didn't bother me there, though. It bothered me in the main event.
But that's every Cody match, though.
Well, yeah, maybe so, but there was something about this match where, and even the crowd, I don't know, it didn't hit with me the way I was hoping it would. It was definitely not a favorite match of mine. It was strong, it was fine, but I don't know that I liked it as much as you did. But the John Cena AJ Styles match, and then we can get back to Cody and Seth. That match was everything I was hoping it would be. These two just work so well together. I've never seen them have a bad match. I mean, this was I want to say their 5th singles match. They've never had a bad match. So the expectations that I had were very high coming into this match, and they delivered on it. And this has been a very polarizing match with some people, because there were some people that I saw who greatly disliked the fact that they were just spamming everyone else's finishing moves. And I feel like they missed the point of what was going on there. John Cena he's been doing this since at least SummerSlam, is incorporating moves into his matches of people that he has worked with before and people he respects. He did it with Randy Orton. He did it with Edge, right? The spear, even though fucking Michael Cole was, the big dog. Yeah, no. He was, paying homage to Edge in that situation. But here, what he was doing, let's see, it was Miz, right? He did the skull crushing finale. The camel clutch, right? The accolade.
Yep, Rusev.
So that's another man that he had a WrestleMania match with. We saw him hit the RKO, and we saw him doing the Undertaker's chokeslam. He did a whole bunch of different things. And he's paying homage to people that either he's already worked with this year or that he is not going to have the chance to wrestle because he only has a handful of dates left. And hitting them pretty good, too. Like, if you're going to try somebody else's move, at least make it look good. And I thought he did. And then you have AJ Styles, who made it very clear, again, he's done in 2026. And so he's out there and he's doing Sting Scorpion Death Drop. And he does Samoa Joe's Coquina Clutch. Very interesting that all the WWE guys that Cena was imitating, they mentioned who they were. And all the people that AJ was imitating, I don't think they named a single fucking person. Not one.
Well, the WWE won't allow that, one. And two,
why not?
To be fair, I don't think Michael Cole is very up. I wasn't even. I was told from my chat, Frankie Kazarian, Fate the Black, he did.
Yes. Yeah, Christopher Daniels, the Angels Wings. Yeah. Again, dude, I don't buy that bullshit, okay? Please.
Meanwhile, he's naming all fucking Stardom dates and fucking titles over there.
Michael Cole is on commentary like multiple times this year talking about triple tails in Japan with like Asuka and Io. Get the fuck out of here. So, but they're paying homage to all of these different people that they've worked with. The fans were into it. They were loving it. They were having fun with it. There were some really good near falls in there. And again, John Cena goes out there. And I will say, I was one of those people who said, this guy's washed. It really hit me when I saw him in Austin Theory at WrestleMania 39 a couple years ago. But it's like he just doesn't have it in him anymore. Either that or he's not willing to go back to that place because he's got Hollywood to worry about and he's got to preserve his body. Whatever it is, this guy looked like he's washed, right? His best days are behind him until we got to SummerSlam. And look, he didn't have a bad match with Randy Orton. He didn't have a bad match with CM Punk. But he had that rematch with Cody at SummerSlam, and that was a different person altogether. And then we saw him and Logan Paul. That was a really good match. And then we'll ignore WrestlePalooza and pretend that didn't happen. And then we get to this match. And this was Cena at his best. And this was AJ doing what AJ Styles does. And they had a tremendous match. Like, I love this match. This match was great. And I'm really glad they had that chance to have that one last time in the ring together. I love the fact that they did what they did at the Rumble in 2017. They didn't leave the ring once. The whole match. You don't see that anymore. Every match, they're brawling into the timekeeper's area. They're in the crowd. They're by the announce desk.
Doesn't need it.
They kept it in the ring. They didn't have to do all that stuff. They didn't need weapons. They didn't need plunder. Nothing. So I love that. So to me, this was just easily the best thing on the show, but it was just tremendous stuff. And I would have said the best match of the weekend until I saw the Leon Slater, Javon Evans stuff.
It's amazing. John Cena now has the match with Cody at SummerSlam, probably going to end up in. I'm speaking specifically for WWE because if you talk about totality in all of pro wrestling, it's a whole different beast. But in WWE, John Cena, Cody Rhodes, probably top 10. John Cena, Logan Paul, probably top 10. AJ Styles, John Cena, probably top 10. Before you know it, John Cena is going to be at least half of the top 10 for best matches of the year in WWE.
Well, imagine if we didn't, get that first half of the year mostly wasted. We could have had even more.
He might be the whole
those.
top 10.
Well, it's very, very possible. It's amazing what John Cena can do when he's not just going around kicking people in the dick and hitting them in the head with the championship.
I've seen so many people like, you like this? This show sucked. I'm like, do you know what it takes for two guys to fucking integrate the moves that they did and make it all make sense? Like what they did to just kind of flesh that out. Like, you think that's easy?
No, but this was as much for the fans. This was for them.
Yes.
They went out and had the kind of match that they wanted to have. And we didn't even mention the introduction that Cena wrote for AJ, which I thought was great. And clearly AJ wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, I got that. I got that here somewhere, I think. Let me see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he just, he said, the total nonstop action reference. But then he was really caught off guard when he said the undisputed boss of the Bullet Club, which I actually wonder, and get your take on this. Do you think that is and I guess they didn't do it on Raw, but do you think that is a line that may, come back at some point if let's say they want to do maybe a match with Cena and Balor on one of those Raw shows next month?
I could see it. I'm surprised they didn't mention. I mean, being that AJ is going to be wrestling Balor next week on Monday for the tag team championships. With
well, that's what I mean, because that was my other thought. Like either that or we see Balor confront AJ on Raw last night, which he didn't do, but maybe he just wasn't in Australia. But he confronts him like, "Oh, what do you mean, undisputed boss of the Bullet Club? I saw you smiling about that. You know who the real boss of the Bullet Club is, So either that or, again, maybe Balor takes issue with Cena saying that, and that could be the genesis of them having a match in Boston or Madison Square Garden next month.
Yeah, I like that. I would hope WWE does that. I don't see them doing that. I think it was just a one-time thing. And apparently, from Brian Alvarez, when he reported that, the note that Cena passed to Alicia Taylor was AJ Styles didn't know. Like, he had no idea it was coming.
Oh, you could tell.
Yeah.
You could tell just based on his expression that he wasn't. I think after he mentioned the Bullet Club thing, he's like, oh, he looked at the crowd. He's like, oh, shit. Like, he was not expecting that. But that was a very classy, gesture on Cena's part. And it just shows you the respect that they have for each other. So for the people saying that, again, maybe it wasn't your cup of tea, but I think they did the match the way they did it as much because they were just doing it for themselves, and that's the kind of match they wanted to go out having. And I thought it was great. If it was anybody else doing that, just spamming other people's moves, it wouldn't have worked. And I would have said the same thing. But in this case, I think it worked.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. We're here because we love pro wrestling, and they did what they did because they love pro wrestling. So I don't know how you look at that from someone who loves pro wrestling and just kind of just shoos it away and doesn't really appreciate that. So I don't understand why there was a lot of hate and a lot of discourse for this particular match. I thought it was incredible, and I wouldn't have had it any other way, especially with the Bray Wyatt thing that John Cena did with the fucking brutal Sister Abigail he did, and then everybody brought their fucking phones out. I mean, you can't script something like that. Like, how do you hate that?
Yeah, I mean, that was the biggest moment I didn't even mention, when he initially grabbed him and he got in position for it and he kind of smiled and then he hit it and it was a great Sister Abigail. And then you see everyone pulls their phones out and does the fireflies. And there's that moment where Cena's sitting in the ring and he kind of looks up at the heavens and like nods and he's just sort of taking it all in. Like, again, like how could you hate on that? These two guys are retiring. Like, their careers are coming to an end. This is their way of just sort of paying it back and showing respect. And I have no issue with it. I don't understand why people would be so upset about that.
No, I thought that was, to me, the match of the night for sure. I did like the Cody and Seth stuff, primarily for what happened. By the way, StreamYard just gave me the notification again, so keep an eye out. I'm in communication with somebody with StreamYard. They haven't gotten back to me yet, but I've opened up 2 support tickets in regards for this problem. I don't know why they haven't gotten back to me yet, but the Seth Rollins and Cody stuff, I liked it because of the story coming in. I just love a good story, and these guys have it. I get what Jason is saying though, but the finishes, the over-reliance on the finishes, the super Cody cutter he did was fucking ridiculous. The super whatever he did, the fucking cutter he did. I mean, kick out after kick out. Like, bro, you only need one of those. Like, nobody should be kicking out of a super Cody cutter, man, or fucking super Crossroads. Give me a break.
Well, no, I mean, of course not. Like, and we've seen it takes Cody sometimes 3 of his finishing moves just to put people away. But when you do like a super Cody cutter, like we've seen Seth, for example. Remember when Seth wrestled Omos and he did the super stomp and he beat him? Great. If you have to do a super version of your finish and you still don't win, I think you need a new finish. Like, it's just ridiculous. It's just, there was something about this that really just irked me. And it just got to a point where it's like, all right, this is There were times where, I don't know, it's a subjective thing, but there are times with me where it works, and then there were times where it really bothers me and it takes me out of the match.
Yeah, I could see this being the case for sure, but they went almost 30 minutes, and the Rolex came into play here, and Rollins won. No Heyman, no Breakker, no Bronson Reed. Heyman basically told both Brons, stay back. He's got to beat Cody on his own, and that's exactly what he did. He cheated to win. He used the Rolex that Cody gifted him at WrestleMania 40 during the match with Roman Reigns, and that's what won him the match. And that was the way the show went off the air. There was no surprises. There was no turn. There was no big ordeal. There was no a new member for the Vision. There was no Lesnar. So it was just Rollins winning with the Rolex, and that was it. Celebration, new Crown Jewel champion. And we move on to Monday Night Raw. I thought it was a good match. Outside of the over-reliance of finishes, Jason, that's the only reason why you did not like it as much as I did, correct?
Well, I also didn't think it needed 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Like they gave it a lot of time, but it felt like it.
Yeah.
And compare that to Cena and AJ, they got almost as much. They got 27 minutes, and at no point did it feel like, oh man, this match is too long.
That I could agree with you with. This one did feel a lot longer than that match did. Yeah.
It took a while for this to really get going, and then, it's weird because they had the best story of all the matches on this show. I mean, they had the story there coming into it, but I don't know, the match itself just didn't hit for me in the way that I thought. It was still a strong match, but again, looking back at it, and I know why they ended the show with that match. It had the best story, and they wanted both Crown Jewel champions out there for the big pose down at the end and the pyro. But I would have closed with Cena and AJ. To me, that was the real main event of that show, and that's the match I would have gone off with. John Cena's final match and final exit in Australia, his final international show of any kind. You have a great match like that. They embrace. Everyone's going nuts. Cena leaves. To me, that's how the show should have ended.
Crown Jewel was a thumbs-up show. B+, Jason gives it. I'd probably give it the same, B+. I had a very good time watching it, and hopefully WWE is slowly rounding a corner creatively. That made Friday Night SmackDown a good show. Crown Jewel, good show. Monday Night Raw was a good show. Raw, largely for the better part of now 3-4 weeks, has been a very good show. Very story-driven, fleshing out characters that, I wouldn't say fleshing out characters, but giving us characters that have already been fleshed out that we are emotionally invested in, and they're telling stories. They're getting back to doing what they should be doing, and that's telling stories. And they have a much better roster than SmackDown does, so it's a lot more of an easier watch. But they have, this week at least, a very good week, very good stretch of shows for television. Hopefully that continues.
Well, there was one thing we didn't talk about in that match that it looks like is going to come back to really bite them on the ass.
Well, I was going to mention it here, but yeah, that happened there. The coast to coast, which I don't know why Rollins, of all people with bad knees, is doing a coast to coast, but I'm not Seth Rollins. He didn't even do a Shane RVD-like coast to coast. He did a fucking flying headbutt coast to coast, which is a lot more dangerous. Don't know why we're doing headbutts in 2025 the way that he did it, but he landed awkwardly on his left shoulder. And he came down, and you physically saw him just the way he landed. It didn't look good. I didn't really think much of it, but it was comments, Jason, he mentioned on the post show saying that the headbutt or that spot, this match, is going to have long-term ramifications. We didn't know what it meant then. It could be Rollins just kind of playing up the vision angle and, his vision for the World Championship and where he sees the company, but nobody took it to be a serious thing. Then all of a sudden we find out on Monday that the vision is no more, or at least with Rollins at the helm. So we'll build this up here. Rollins opened the show, and he basically was kissing his own ass here. He was taking it all in. First half of this promo with the vision out there was more of the same, propping up Breakker, propping up Reed, kissing Paul Heyman, thanking him for being the Oracle. And then he goes on to say, and this is not the first time he said it, because he said it last week as well, I don't need anybody. I don't need Breakker. He mentioned them by name this week. I don't need Bron Breakker. I don't need Bronson Reed. I don't need Paul Heyman. I did this all on my own. He didn't beat Cody all on his own. He cheated to beat Cody. That's what he needed to do. Because Paul Heyman the week before said, you're going to put me in a position where I'm going to start really thinking about the decision I made. Did I really make the right one leaving the tribal chief to join you? Now, I went on an hour monologue on this. I know you probably very much went into this as well, as far as the vision and where Rollins is in this partnership with Bron Breakker and Paul Heyman and Bronson Reed. But Rollins said Reigns needed the Shield and the Bloodline. Cody needed him to beat Reigns at WrestleMania 40, and Rollins beat CM Punk and Reigns at WrestleMania in the triple threat match of night one, all on his own. Now, clearly, none of this is, at least that last part to me is not true. Rollins said Reigns needed the Shield. He did. And Cody needed his help to beat Reigns. He did. That last part is not true. And you saw Bron Breakker's attitude and his body language and the way he's been acting the last couple weeks. Very indifferent to what Rollins is saying, almost to a point where he's looking at him side-eyed like, are you really saying this in front of me right now? So we got that opening segment, and it went off with no problem. But Breakker's attitude, Breakker's kind of body language was very prominent in that segment. Then we go on to the middle of the show where Seth Rollins is basically telling all his boys, this is one of my proudest moments. I put this in the same category as the birth of my daughter and meeting and for me first meeting my wife. And he says for the next 12, 18 months, Paul, I think something great is on the horizon. I'm very excited for the future. And Bron Breakker, again, he's just standing there kind of stone cold. Bronson Reed is a little bit more receptive, more so than Breakker is anyway. And again, really nothing was made of it there. Then Punk won the triple threat match on Monday night in the main event, with Jey Uso and LA Knight. And
knocked his grill out.
Knocked Jay's grill out, yeah. He confiscated it. I don't know what he did with it. Hopefully he didn't put it in his trunks.
Well, there was a different, I guess, fan cam video that somebody posted.
Oh, God.
And he grabbed it, and then he just kind of reached behind him and handed it off to Jey.
Okay, good. As long as it didn't go anywhere near the trunks, that's good.
Oh, my God.
I know. But anyway, Punk won, now number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. Rollins comes out because he's enemies with CM Punk. We all know that story. So he's in the ring, and they're getting rid of him. They're beating him up. They beat up LA Knight, Jey Uso. Everybody's kind of taken out. All of a sudden, Rollins is in the ring. He's got his back turned, and we see Bron Breakker in the corner, and all of a sudden, a spear to Seth Rollins. Everybody's shocked. Paul Heyman legitimately mouthed the words, "What the fuck are you doing?" to Bron Breakker as he stood over Seth Rollins after a spear. Everybody was going crazy, shocked. Then he looks at Bronson Reed and says, "You're either with me or you're not." So Bronson Reed pulls Seth Rollins over to the corner where he made his decisions with Bron Breakker up, tsunami, goodbye. So now he's got a spear in his tsunami. He looks at Paul Heyman, "You're either with me or you're not." And then at the end of the show, he raises both of their hands defiantly, and it's almost in a way where it was, without even him saying it, "All right, Rollins, you fucked yourself. Go fuck yourself. It's over." That's the way the show went off the air. Now, I want to take this in stages. Let's get your initial reaction to this before we get into the news. What did you think when you saw it, and were you shocked when you seen it? Because I know I was, because I didn't really think much of the injury, but I was shocked that they did it on Monday instead of at least waiting until we found out more on Rollins' injury.
I was very surprised that we got the Triple H special where he put the credits, the producer credits, up on the screen in the copyright box, right? They're going off the air, and then boom, there they lower the boom on you. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I wasn't sure injury-wise exactly what was going on with Seth at that point. So to me, in that moment, it didn't matter to me whether he had an injury or not. Personally, when it comes to the Vision stuff and the Seth Rollins character, to me, it's not very interesting. It's not very engaging. And I was already getting very, very bored of, Rollins coming out and cutting the same promos every single week, and Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. It's a great spot for them to be in, but they're, standing in the background. And they do this, and it just turned everything on its head. And I said, you know what? I can't hate on this, because this is exactly the sort of thing I think that these shows need. They need a little more unpredictability. They need a shocking moment every now and then. Not for the sake of doing a shocking moment where it's like, well, we'll shock them and then we'll figure it out as we go. But as long as they have an idea on kind of where they want to go, you shock people. You throw them off guard. You think you're going to go this way, but you go that way. These shows are at a point where like everything is so predictable these days. And yet predictable doesn't necessarily mean bad. But like with the WWE product, we talk so much about Triple H playing it safe. Here's an example of a situation that maybe his hand was forced. But I watched this and I go, hey, you know what? This is something different. This is cool. And you saw the reaction from the fans, right? They were shocked. They were happy. Bron picked up that world championship belt and they cheered. And I'm watching him and he's standing there with the World Heavyweight Championship in his hand. And I said, you know what? I could get behind that. Because what are they going to do now, right? Is Seth wrestling on Saturday night's main event against CM Punk? Are they not going to do the match? Because if they're not going to do the match, you know what? I got the guy that you can slip in there and maybe even win the World Heavyweight Championship. He's standing right there. Because let's not forget the whole point of the vision. And I know we're going to talk about like the different reaction to it and everything, but like comment after comment that I got from people who weren't a fan of it was, I can't believe they did this now. I can't believe, like, I was expecting it, but like 6 months from now or a year from now. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you're upset that instead of dragging this out for another 6 or 9 months to get to the same place we all knew it was going anyway, that they bumped up the timeline on it, right? Whether they had to or not, that they bumped up the timeline on it. We're getting it now. How am I going to sit here and hate on that? Like, we could all see where this was going. So they did it now. Yeah, it was shocking. I wasn't expecting it, but you know what? Great. This is the sort of thing WWE never does because they take their time with every little thing, even though you could see it coming from a mile away sometimes. Bron Breakker is a guy, in my opinion, like, he's ready now. If they were ready to put the championship on him and anoint him now as like the top heel on the brand or the top, guy on the brand, I think he could take that torch and carry it just fine and take Bronson Reed along for the ride with him. Because I think the world of both guys. I'm a fan of both of them. So I love it. I thought it was great, not knowing what, again, the injury situation was. But there were a lot of people who didn't. But for the reason they gave, I was floored. I'm like, these people cannot be serious. Like, you cannot tell me that there are people who are genuinely upset that they knew where it was going, but man, I wanted 9 more months of this. I wanted 9 more months of Seth Rollins coming out in his wacky outfits, telling us that he's a revolutionary and talking about the future of the industry. We hear about this every week. Every week we hear about it. So great. We don't have 9 more months of this shit. Terrific. I love it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely correct. I said the same thing last night. A lot of people criticize the product. We do it weekly for the reason of it being boring. Last night, they were not boring. Last night, they took risks. Triple H has played it safe. He finally didn't play it safe last night, and people are still complaining. So I don't know what you want. So this Vision storyline and this Vision faction, it's basically WWE trying their best to give us a bloodline after the bloodline. Like, we need a faction. Triple H loves his factions. There's got to be a faction that is the centerpiece of his show, and he's got his little baby faces that fight that faction, and we get rinse and repeat every single week. I am completely over that. I know Jason has been very critical of the fucking main events that we got in the last 3 months. It's the same thing every single week. I'm tired of it. Rollins basically is trying to be Roman Reigns. Everything that he criticized Roman Reigns being in the bloodline, he's trying to emulate. He's got Paul Heyman. He calls him the Oracle. Paul Heyman was Roman Reigns' wise man. He's got his boys there. Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed are not the Usos. We don't have that familiarity with Sami Zayn. We don't have that emotional connection to the honorary Us and the fucking struggles that they were going through because of Roman's manipulation. We don't have that here. So you look at this group, it failed right at the start. Yeah, we were excited about Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed and the youth that he was surrounding himself with, and Paul Heyman. Everything he does turns to gold, basically. It wasn't there. And I said last night, Jason, and maybe you feel the same way, Rollins, and I mean this in no disrespect at all, because Rollins is fucking great. There's very few that could tell a story like Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns. WWE's got a very elite Randy Orton, a very elite few that tell a fucking story, and it's just great. He's great in the ring. But you look at Seth Rollins, and someone made this mention last night in my chat, he's basically this generation's version of Randy Savage. He's always going to be number 2. Savage was always number 2 to Hogan. Seth Rollins is always going to be number 2 to Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, in my opinion, is the face of the company. Nobody's bigger than Roman. Cody's there as the WWE champion. Roman's still the face of the company, in my opinion. And even if you look at Rollins and Cody, Rollins is still number 3. And if you want to put him behind Punk as well, I wouldn't argue with you because Punk is still as big as ever. So you look at Rollins, he's just not the guy, no matter how many times he tries and how many times he says and how many times Triple H tries. He's just not going to be that guy to lead a show. You could put as many world championships on him as you want. He's not going to be the guy. And to me, he did not resonate in this role. Now you go back to WrestleMania. Was this the plan? Was this the plan all along? I mean, it was born from Punk doing a favor for Paul Heyman to be on Roman's bloodline team for War Games. He did it for Paul Heyman. So the favor we found out was that he wanted Paul Heyman basically to be his wise man at WrestleMania and walk him down the aisle. But then Rollins, one of those weeks, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks before WrestleMania, he was threatening to stomp Paul Heyman on Raw, and he basically used the word favor. Now you owe me a favor because I didn't curb stomp you along with Roman and CM Punk on that conclusion to Monday night. So I don't know if it was something that was a plan from Paul Heyman to Seth Rollins, this was in collusion all along, or it was just something that was born from a favor. Paul Heyman had no ties to him whatsoever, and they just ran with it. And Paul Heyman was obviously his oracle, Bronson Reed. He's very high on, someone that we've known, Bron Breakker. So the point I'm trying to make is, all of this, you look at Rollins, like we all seen this coming. Paul Heyman has always been in charge of the vision. This was his vision. So now what I think and I hope happens is that we see a vision of Paul Heyman and he surrounds himself with people who he thinks basically his Paul Heyman guys now. That's what I want the group to be. If there's going to be a group, it should be led by Paul Heyman and you add another 2 or 3 guys there and you come up with a Paul Heyman faction, Dangerous Alliance, whatever the case may be, and they go and be that group on Raw that Seth Rollins could not provide them. Now, I don't know where we go. I don't know how you feel about this, but do you see the group continuing on Raw with Paul Heyman leading?
Yeah, I do. And just a few points. I mean, we're not saying that Seth Rollins is not a star. What we're saying here is that Seth Rollins is not ever going to be the star if they build things around, like a Roman or a Cody, or maybe even a Bron Breakker, because I think Bron Breakker, could be that guy for them for years to come. You mentioned Savage. I kind of look at him as a Randy Orton in many ways because John Cena was the face of that era. Orton was never really in the position to be the guy the way that Cena was. So I think that's a good comparison. The other thing I'll say also is Seth Rollins, I don't think he can lead a faction. I don't see him as like, he was the leader of this group and I just never found it to be terribly, interesting, but I don't see him as the guy, like the top heel, to lead his own faction. So I think that kind of ties into what we were just talking about. Again, not a reflection on his talent, but I don't know that I really buy into him as that person. The Paul Heyman thing, this was not a plan. This was not a plan. And the way I look at it is this. Paul Heyman is, a slime ball who is going to go whichever way the wind blows. So the way they played it out last night, he didn't see this coming, and he was put on the spot by Bron Breakker, who said the same thing to him that he said to Bronson Reed. You're either with me or you're not. And he goes, you got to make a choice. And Heyman evaluated the situation, and he's all about self-preservation and doing what's right for him. And he raised their hands because he's a little rat, and he's going to go whichever way the wind blows. There was never any sort of emotional attachment or loyalty there because, again, he was threatened. And that was the only reason he went with Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, right? Because he felt threatened. He felt as if he really was left with no other choice. And so it was a relationship of convenience. It was not a relationship born out of loyalty, right? How many times did we hear Heyman over the years talk about how, I have a relationship with the Samoan family going back to when I got into the business, right? Or with Punk, right? They've been best friends going back, 20 years maybe? He was looking out for Punk in developmental. He has nothing like that with Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins to him is just another guy. But I didn't look at it last night as some sort of master plan that was hatched. I think it was all spur of the moment, and he just sort of took stock of the situation and said, I don't want to get my ass handed to me, and I'm looking toward the future, and the future is right here. It's not this guy laying on the mat. So I'm with you, boys. That's how I looked at it. And same thing with Bronson Reed, right? He had to make a choice in the moment. This was Bron Breakker going rogue, and they decided, okay, it's better we stay with him. Now, as far as why this happened in the first place, there's been a lot of discussion today, and maybe you have some updates there, because I know there's been some stuff reported during the day. A lot of debates about, is this real? Is this a legitimate injury, or is this another work?
Well, the thing with that is, with the LA Knight situation, when he faked that injury on July 12th,
yeah,
I knew immediately, or I didn't know, but I had a very good feeling like this something off here. This definitely feels like a worked injury, and this is an angle. So we came to find out that it was a plan all along, and we were mostly correct there. This, I feel like I'm going with an injury first and then fake second. Like, I don't think he's faking something here. So I'm going, my two completely different feelings here are opposite. I thought the other one was a ruse, and I didn't think this one was a ruse on initial first sighting. But to be fair, we waited a few weeks for more information to come out on both situations. So I don't know how you felt. Did you immediately think it was a work or a legit injury?
Well, I mean, going back to the first one in July, initially I thought that it may have been legit, and then I came around very quickly to the idea that, okay, this feels like a work, and then it ended up being a work. But initially, I thought it was a real injury. This one, I watched it, and I honestly think it's a real injury. Like, it was. I understand people being very hesitant because we just went through this, and that's why, if this ends up being a work, let's say it's a work,
yeah,
okay, and they're swerving us, and I guess the idea would be that CM Punk became #1 contender to the World Championship, and this is a way for them to fuck over CM Punk by leading him to believe that Rollins is all by himself, and he no longer has any backup whatsoever with the Vision. And then we get to Saturday night's main event, and we saw that report last week from Meltzer when he laid out the rumored War Games teams, and we saw sticking out like a sore thumb, Austin Theory was listed along with Brock Lesnar and Rollins and Breakker and Reed, with the idea, I guess, that he would be added to the Vision. They're going to bring him back as a member of the Vision. Could we see Rollins and Punk, and this is where they debut, or they bring back Austin Theory as a member of the Vision to give him the assist? Punk loses again, and then they all have a good laugh about it. Sure. I can't sit here and tell you with absolute certainty that won't happen. What I will tell you, though, is that if this ends up being a work or a ruse, I think that's fucking terrible. We just did this.
Well, I mean, that's one way to do. I mean, that's one hell of a way to do it. Take a fucking tsunami and a spear just to play off the fact that you're all by yourself.
Like, he's taking one for the team, I guess. I mean, I'll take one for the team.
And how dumb would CM Punk look, bro? Letting his guard down again. My first instinct would be like, give me the fucking medical papers that know if this guy's injured or not.
Yeah. No, but the thing that would bother me about it the most is that we just did an angle like this. They just did an angle where he faked an injury, and you're going to do it again 3 months later? Like, why?
Unreal,
what would even be the purpose? Yeah, I mean, it would, like, if that's what this ends up being, I take back everything I just said. Because what I saw last night got me excited and interested. You talk about a cliffhanger for Raw.
Yeah.
When was the last time we had a great cliffhanger to an episode of Monday Night Raw? Right? Or SmackDown, for that matter.
I don't know. It's buried in the fucking Jimmy Uso and LA Knight main event. That's what it is.
Oh, my God. But, dude, like, that's the kind of thing that made Raw such a must-see show. And I'm not saying we need to go back to Crash TV, but you would have these segments, you would have these cliffhangers, these angles that were fun and they were exciting, and you didn't know where things were going to go, and you had to tune in the next week. And that was the first time I really felt that way about Raw in a very long time. So it has me excited. If this ends up being some bullshit ruse, and in a few weeks I see Rollins on TV cackling and they're all having a good laugh about it, first of all, I think we all know or knew that Bron Breakker was eventually going to split away from them. So they went and did the angle, right? So now it's almost like we talked about, remember Daniel Garcia that time with the Jericho Appreciation Society? I mean, it's kind of the same thing. If that's what this ends up being, I think that's fucking terrible. And I'm not a fan of that. I hope that's not, what this ends up being. But let's not forget what the purpose of the Vision was. The Vision was not about getting Seth Rollins over. The Vision was always about getting Bron Breakker elevated to that superstar status. Not even Bronson Reed. It was all about Bron Breakker. I believe Seth Rollins is legitimately injured. I believe the reports that he may have a rotator cuff injury. It's either a shoulder or a rotator cuff injury is the fear. That was the talk apparently within WWE offices today. So nothing's confirmed, but that's the belief. And if it's a torn rotator cuff, I mean, maybe it depends on the severity, but that's the same injury that Chad Gable's been out with. And he's been out for months, and he's still not back. So it could be a serious injury that keeps Rollins out long enough where when we see him next week, he may have to vacate that World Heavyweight Championship, and then they have to figure out what the hell they're going to do because CM Punk just won a #1 contenders match. So I believe he's hurt. And I look at this and I go, well, okay, it's not ideal, right? It blows up their plans because they were going to be in War Games. And by the way, they still can be. But this was always going to be the destination. It's about getting Bron Breakker to that next level. So you're going to do it 6 months early or a year, or maybe not a year, but like months early. So what? This was always going to happen anyway, and he's ready now. The people are ready to get behind this guy now. If you want him to be a heel for a little while longer, that's fine, but he's going to end up turning babyface whether you like it or not. So you know what? I'm all for a youth movement in this company. I'm all for it. There are certain guys from NXT who I do believe should still be down there for a little while longer. I'm not one of these people who thinks that Javon Evans needs to be on Raw or SmackDown right now. I'm sorry. I think that would be a mistake. But you don't even have to look to NXT. Look at some of the people they have right now on the main roster, right? There are younger talents who are ready to break out if you just give them the opportunity. Bron Breakker is, at the top of that list. I'm all for it. Let's get behind a youth movement in this company. Let's try something different. Let's get behind this guy. You keep having Paul Heyman every fucking week. This man is going to headline 5 to 10 WrestleManias. Okay, well, how many more months are we going to listen to this, right?
Yeah.
Let's get behind him now. Maybe even put the championship on him. Let's make him that dominant, badass champion on Raw, and he's got his own crew. I do think the vision continues. I could see Austin Theory coming back and being a part of that group and maybe even adding someone else. Can you imagine? I'm just throwing this out there. I don't think he needs them, but maybe that's how they call up Obafemi.
Or Trick Williams.
Yeah, but you know what? But imagine even an Obafemi in that group, and you get a couple of badasses in there with him and Bron Breakker on the same side.
I like it. I love the whole youth movement spiel. I do.
Yeah, I love it. I love the idea of it. And also it gives Bron Breakker an opportunity to start speaking more and we see more of his personality coming through. And he really becomes someone that you're almost afraid to be around. It's almost like you have to be on eggshells around this guy because you don't know, what he's going to do. I love it. Take a negative, which is what this is, because I think he is hurt. Take a negative and turn it into a positive. I don't know what that means for WrestleMania next year. If they were going to do Roman Reigns against Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 42 and now they can't, okay, well, they're going to have to pivot and do something else.
Oh, now we get Bron Breakker and Roman Reigns. So that's a match everybody wants to see anyway.
There you go. Right? Because we just got Reed and Roman. It's a good thing, I guess, they didn't go to Roman and Breakker at Crown Jewel. There's a WrestleMania match that you can build to. Roman Reigns and Bron Breakker for the championship at WrestleMania 42. This doesn't have to be a bad thing. I feel bad for Seth. He faked an injury, and then I feel like now it's coming back to bite him on the ass that he faked that injury. Now he has a real one. But you could take a negative and turn it into a gigantic positive here.
Yes, another positive out of all this. We're spared another Punk and Rollins match, which I don't think anybody was really overly interested in seeing again. But this following is coming from PW Insider Elite. So this is the top of the top here. There's belief within WWE that Rollins may be heading for a shoulder or rotator cuff surgery to repair the damage from Crown Jewel. Now, the report states that while some in WWE have a wait-and-see stance on Rollins' injury due to a previous fabricated injury storyline from SummerSlam, others believe the situation is legitimate. Those believe the injury is real and have pointed to the fact that the turn on Rollins happened very early in the Vision's run and that it seemingly has taken major money-making matches against CM Punk and Roman Reigns off the table. One higher up in the company acknowledged to PW Insider that Rollins was hurt, but at the time, no one had full details. Now, there was word spreading of a potential surgery, but nothing has been officially announced by anyone in the company, nor has there been any acknowledgement of what this means for the World's Heavyweight Championship. Rollins is believed to have injured his left shoulder in the main event against Cody Rhodes, which we talked about earlier. The on-screen angle where Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed attacked him and aligned with Paul Heyman was a dramatic way to write him off television so he could recover. The silver lining to the situation, says Mike Johnson, as noted by some in the report, is the opportunity to push Breakker and Reed to the moon with Heyman as their mouthpiece, a move that could shake up the current creative doldrums. In addition, Dave Meltzer said there is significant skepticism within the WWE locker room about the legitimacy of this new injury stemming from a fabricated injury earlier in the year. Meltzer says they were told it was from an injury in the match with Rhodes, but after being told his other injury was legit, many in the locker room are not fully believing anything right now, and the other injury is a storyline that WWE used to explain Rollins' absence from television before his surprise return, where he cashed in Money in the Bank at SummerSlam. So the angle, he goes on to say, was reportedly so well protected that it fooled a lot of its own people within the company. And now Rollins is once again on the shelf with a legitimate injury, and WWE is struggling to convince its own talent that the situation is now real.
Yeah, good job, guys. Like that's the problem when you work your own people, you sow the seeds of distrust, and I don't think that's a good thing.
So Punk, we don't know yet. I guess we'll find out on Monday, which, like Jason said, this is a very big Monday Night Raw coming up. Punk is already in the main event of, I'm assuming, Saturday night's main event. They're not going to do this match at Survivor Series. So he's one half of the World Championship match, Saturday night's main event, November 1st, Utah. Do we put Bron Breakker in that role? How do we get him in there?
I would. Well, whoever it is, whether it's Bron Breakker or somebody else, I mean, they could end up turning it into a multi-man match again and somehow working LA Knight and Jey Uso in there. But whoever it is, I mean, I would imagine you would have to have some sort of match on TV to, crown a number one contender as far as who would be, opposite Punk in that match. If they wanted to go with Bron Breakker, you know what, dude, that would be my first choice.
Me too. Give him the title.
That's what I would do.
That's it.
Like, if you're going to be serious about this, again, use this opportunity to take this guy and elevate him to that next level in a serious way. And show people that you're behind him and that he's the real deal, and you're going to build around him, or build a group around him. So I'm all for having him in that match and even putting the championship on him. And like we talked about, you can build to Roman Reigns and Bron Breakker at WrestleMania next year.
I don't know
what that means for CM Punk and what he would be doing. I don't know. Although somebody asked me a question about this last night. We were talking about AJ Styles before. And if he was to wrestle his last match at WrestleMania next year, who do you have that match against? And I like the idea of Gunther because it's a match we haven't seen, and I think he would be a fine opponent for AJ. But somebody asked me, what do I think if they did finally in this run a singles match with AJ Styles and CM Punk, but on the WrestleMania stage? And what if maybe that was AJ's last match? And I was like, you know what? I'm not really enamored with Jericho and AJ if Jericho comes back and they did that match, but like Punk and AJ, and I feel like the promos leading up to it, and a lot of people have been waiting for them to do that match. To me, that's a WrestleMania match to me.
No, I don't mind that. I think that's not where I would put Punk. I mean, I've convinced myself of Punk and Cody. If we could get that somehow, that would be my preferred match. Yeah,
I like that too. But again, just as things stand right now, with them being on different brands and going, maybe they do Cody and Randy. We don't know. That would probably be my first choice. But if not that, I feel like AJ.
Fuck. Mid sentence, they cut him out. Mid-sentence, they cut him out. Let's get him back in here. I was trying so hard to fucking keep it going with him not getting cut. I thought I had it figured out. There he is. There he is. He knows. There you go. I tried my best to. I thought I had a solution, but apparently I didn't.
I had my eye on it. I knew it was coming.
Going back to what you said, I don't mind that because now you got my brain rolling. AJ, if that's the case, AJ Punk, Gunther Lesnar, Breakker Roman, Cody Randy, Stephanie Vicaire, Rhea Ripley. I mean, you're looking at Jericho, if he's back, which I assume he will be. That's my prediction. Jericho, LA Knight. We talked about that last week. I mean, that's a fucking banger WrestleMania right there. Just thinking off the top of my head.
I mean, that's a full card right there.
Yeah, so, we'll keep an eye on that. What does this mean for War Games? Is War Games now out of the question because everybody figured the vision was going to be in War Games? Do you see the vision still taking place in War Games, or are we going realistically? I know nobody wants it, with the MFTs and the Wyatt Six in War Games, just to give us a different feel, because a lot of those guys have been in multiple War Games year after year. Are they going somewhere different, or do you see the vision in War Games this year?
I think the Vision has to be in War Games this year. I mean, you need your top heel faction in there. And I feel, dude, honestly, like the MFTs and the Wyatts in War Games, like, are you kidding me? Who is asking for that?
Nobody.
Like, honestly, like, no. And again, that would be an issue that would just be getting started now. It doesn't warrant War Games. The Vision has been running roughshod on this show for months and months, so that makes sense. When the Bloodline was in there or the Judgment Day, that made sense because they were making people's lives a living hell. The Wyatts and the MFTs, you know what? If you wanted to do like a traditional, if they were still doing at least one traditional Survivor Series match on that show, that would be the Survivor Series match. You don't do that in War Games.
Yes.
If you have the Vision, you've got Bron Breakker, you've got Bronson Reed. Let's say they do add Austin Theory, and that report is true. And then Paul Heyman can very easily recruit Brock Lesnar to be a part of that match. And why not do 4-on-4? I mean, who says it has to be 5-on-5?
I agree.
Like, why do we have to shoehorn the extra guy in there just because that's how it's done? You could do a 4-on-4 War Games match. That's fine. And on the other side, you've got Roman and you've got Punk and LA Knights and Jey Uso or whatever the combination is. And there you go. There's your War Games match. So even if Seth is out, yes, I think you still keep the Vision in there. They're the top heel group. They've been the ones that they've been a thorn in people's sides, like Punk and Knight and all them. That's the match for Survivor Series.
Yeah, I like it. I would go in that direction. I know War Games is pretty much up in the air right now with what the men's match is going to be. I pitched this last night for the women because we're getting the women War Games. So we got AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. I think are going to be the captains for their team. So you got them taken care of. You got the Kabuki Warriors, and then you got Rhea and Io, and then you got Bayley, Lyra, and then Roxanne and Raquel to round out the other members of each team. So you got 5-on-5 there.
There you go.
Keep
That's
it the Raw.
perfect.
Keep it the Raw. The
Yeah.
SmackDown has no women for a War Game, so I don't even know why we're even talking about them getting War Games.
Well, I mean, dude, like I think one of the other things Meltzer had reported, in addition to all this other stuff, is that the match for Saturday night's main event is going to be Tiffany Stratton and Jade Cargill again.
Who's asking for that?
I don't know, but if they do that match again, you've got to do a title change there.
Wait,
I
don't even think she's going to be ready for that.
Well, I guess we'll find out. But that was the rumored women's championship match for that show. But if they run that match back again, you have to do a title change at that point, and then maybe the idea is that Bianca eventually comes back and they build to Bianca trying to take the title off of Jade. Dude, I'm still waiting for Bianca to come back. She broke her fingers at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
She's been out. Dude, there are people that break their necks or tear muscles in their body and their back sooner than Bianca is. So I mean, I hope she can make it back soon because they could really use her on SmackDown.
Jade beating Tiffany, bro. I can't get behind that. I'm sorry.
Dude, why run the match back if you're not going to do a title change?
I hear you. I think you're correct there. I just don't know why they'd make that swish. I don't think she's ready. I don't know. Anyway, that was the big moment on Monday Night Raw. There's a lot to unpack there. Hopefully, you guys got the gist of it. I know I went an hour talking about that alone on my stream. I know Jason went very analytical on his end. If you guys want our individual point of views, they are there for you on our Raw review. But a lot of this is great. This is a net positive. Rollins is going to be fine. The Vision can be fine, led by Paul Heyman. And then just build a youth movement. Austin Theory, whether Ethan Page gets hauled up, Obafemi, Trick Williams. I mean, they got so many talents they could put in there and plug in there and make it worth something. I like it.
Sure, and one of the other names we didn't even mention that he had listed on the women's side of the War Games match was Lash Legend. So she may be getting the call up soon too. And I think, again, just to go to what we were talking about like a youth movement and getting some new faces on that roster. I mean, obviously, you could easily call up a Jordan Grace or a Blake Monroe, Sol Ruka.
Yeah, that was the Lash Legend was an odd one. How does she fit into anything though?
Well, so is Austin Theory. When I saw those lineups, I went, "What? Like, did he pull this out of 2K25? Like, where is this coming from?"
I don't know.
But again, that's what they need, man. You got to get some fresh faces in there, and it's time. It's time to do it.
All right, before we wrap up here for what I thought was a great episode 116, we got some AEW stuff here. Just a quick rundown of what's going on. We got a Dynamite Collision Super Show. That's happening tomorrow. My excitement levels are through the roof here, bro.
I don't have the lineup in front of me, so I'm relying on you for it.
I have it. Listen to this. 3-hour special here from Kansas City, Missouri. The Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, tag team against the GOA. Again.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I thought we were getting this.
Yes, we're getting a 6-man tag team match. We're getting the Hurt Syndicate versus the Demand at Wrestle Dream.
So we're getting a tag team version of this first on Wednesday.
Tomorrow, yes.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
Claudio Castagnoli versus Roderick Strong. Sky Blue versus Jamie Hayter tomorrow on Dynamite. We got Orange Cassidy and Kyle O'Reilly versus Danny Garcia and Wheeler Yuta. We got Darby Allin and Jon Moxley special face-to-face before Wrestle Dream. We got the famous last words between Tony Storm and Chris Statlander. We got a trios championship match. We got the Ops. Joe Shibata is back and Hobbs against Roosh, the Beast Mortos, and Dralistico. And then the main event is Kenny Omega and Jurassic Express versus, get this, Jason, Hechicero, Josh Alexander, and Mark Davis.
Wow. So none of the three are any of the men that have attacked Kenny Omega recently on TV.
Oh, man.
No Kyle Fletcher and no Andrade in that equation there. Yeah, somebody on Reddit, somebody shared with me, and I thought it was interesting. I mentioned this on my show the other day, for those who care, a theory about Jack Perry and this whole Jurassic Express reunion and how they think it's really just a ruse. And he's really not interested in kind of reuniting, Jurassic Express because he's still dressed up as the scapegoat. And he's got a knife, right, that he carries around with him. And then that match they had at Daly's Place on Wednesday last week, he was acting kind of heelish. There were certain things that happened in that match, and he was bossing the dinosaur around. And so the theory goes that, he really is still a heel. He just hasn't really revealed himself yet. But then they had that segment on Collision backstage where he approached Kenny Omega after the Kota, and we should probably just mention the Kota Ibushi thing because, Kota Ibushi came back on Collision, had a match with Josh Alexander. They fell off the top rope doing a spot, and Alexander was okay. Kota Ibushi was not. So it wasn't like he did anything great, some kind of crazy flip dive move or anything stupid. Like it was an accident, and he broke his femur, which is like the largest and strongest bone in the entire body, to the point where the bone almost came through the skin, he said on Instagram. And he had surgery, and the latest update is that it's going to take a year for his leg to heal, and the doctor said it'll be 2 years before he can wrestle again. So that could be a career ender. He says he's going to try to come back. And Tony Khan went to the hospital to visit him and sent him a very nice note and a bouquet of flowers. And look, he'll be 45 years old if that's true when he comes back and tries to wrestle again. But boy, I mean, he has been you talk about being besieged by injuries and bad luck the last few years. That's a tough injury. Like that's a painful and tough injury to come back from. So just shout out to him. But Jack Perry confronted Omega, said, look, I'm sorry about what happened to your friend. And I just want to say you and me, we should be friends and allies. And Omega's not buying any of his bullshit. But he said, well, I guess I am down friends now. So if you're being honest, I'll see you on Wednesday. So they're doing some kind of angle here. But I have a funny sneaking suspicion that Jack Perry is not he's not going to be waving his hands around for too much longer.
I'm still waiting for a reason why Jungle Boy dug up Luchasaurus and why he was buried.
But that may be why. Like if he had some ulterior motive for why he, resuscitated the dinosaur for his own sort of personal benefit. Maybe they don't want him coming out and revealing that just yet because in time it's going to come out that was sort of his ulterior motive for doing so. It might not be as pure as wanting to bring his friend back.
Well, I mean, when the fans have to come up with theories and they're better than what AEW is probably going to come up with, it's pretty sad. But yeah, Kota Ibushi, that's terrible. I mean, the guy spent a large part of his AEW run on the injured list, so it's like I don't know.
I don't know. The Ibushi that we saw in New Japan when he was a double champion, he had both of their top titles. Like that was peak Ibushi. Like just physically, he looked like a god. And you thought, man, this guy, he's one of the biggest stars in the world, and this is great. They put the titles on him. He got hurt. It was in the G1 final in 2021. And the G1 is like a month-long thing, man. It's brutal. And they get to the finals, and a few minutes into the match, he does a Phoenix splash and hurts his shoulder, and they actually stop the match. And from that moment on, like that's where that version of Kota Ibushi died. Like he was never the same after that. That was the last time he even wrestled in New Japan. But like that version of Ibushi, like we're never getting that back. Like even if he comes back, like it sucks that run ended that way. And I hope he can come back and end his career on his terms, but it's going to be a very long time before we see him again. I don't know why they chose to bring him back now. So I don't know if
you know what the saddest part is, bro? The fact that he came back, he looked pretty much healthier than the last time we saw him.
Yeah.
He gets into the swing of things again. He got that steel cage match at Forbidden Door, which he didn't know he was a part of until he seen Instagram. And then he wasn't on TV up until this point. Now his friend Kenny Omega is battling the Don Callis family again, and now he's getting involved, and he gets a match, his first match back since Forbidden Door, against Josh Alexander on Collision, which is predominantly in the 185 to 200 overall viewership rating. Like, can you imagine coming back for their B show and then having it be seen in front of nobody only to injure your leg or break your leg and then be out for 2 years? I mean,
yeah.
I mean, look at it that way. That's the way I look at it. Like, why?
It doesn't get any worse than that. But I'm just wondering, like, I would imagine they brought him back now because they were planning on doing a men's blood and guts, and he was probably going to be him and Omega as two of the people in that match. I mean, that's my guess.
Well, I'm looking at his Instagram post right now. He says, the doctors say 2 years, but I know my body, and he's going to try and come back before that. But we'll see. I wish him the best. That's a terrible thing to have happen. One news and note here, and then we'll quickly do rapid fire Wrestle Dream predictions here, and then get to your super chats. Mercedes, Jason, 10 belts. 10 belts money. Yes. She defeated Alyss Inc. to win the Body Slam Women's Championship, which is now her 10th title. This was last week. She now ties the record, I believe, of Ultimo Dragon set in the 90s. So she now holds championships from the United States, Mexico, England, Austria, Poland, Italy, Scotland, and now Denmark. It's crazy. Yeah.
And soon to be Winnipeg.
Soon to be Winnipeg. I don't know who her. Oh, you said Jody Threat, right?
Jody Threat, October 19th. So that's this Sunday, Winnipeg Pro.
And then I'm predicting Chris Statlander at World's End. That'll be 12 belts money.
Where does it end?
I don't know. I don't know.
She's going to have to start going after the men's title soon.
Apparently, her company has now trademarked Ultimo Money for merchandising reasons. Yeah. Do you guys care in the chat? No, I didn't think so. Rapid fire predictions here for Wrestle Dream, Jason. We'll get into this here and then get to the super chats. Let's start with this. Hurt Syndicate, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, and MVP against The Demand, Ricochet, Bishop Khan, and Toliano. This is just a straight-up trios match.
So we went from the street fight to a straight-up trios match.
Well, don't forget the tag team match tomorrow.
Oh, right, of course, yes.
And then the trio. We went from a street fight to a trios match, which you thought the street fight was the end of it because they got their ass beat, but not in AEW. Do we see a new member of the Hurt Syndicate here?
I do.
Do we see Cedric Alexander join the Hurt Syndicate?
I believe so.
Okay. That's where my line of thinking was. So The Demand will not be in demand after this match. Going the Hurt Syndicate. Jamie Hayter, Tekla, 1-on-1 singles match.
I'm going to go Jamie Hayter.
Really? Yeah, I guess because she was injured by Tekla theoretically. I'm going to go Tekla just to set up the Blood and Guts.
All right.
Okay. Brody King and Bandito. Bandito is still injured with that kinesio tape. I don't know how injured he is or if it's for storyline purposes. We'll see. Against the Don Callis family, Kazuchika Okada and the new Jason, IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, Konosuke Takeshita. Gee, that makes it super predictable, doesn't it?
Well, you would think so, but I don't know. I mean, look, they don't get along. So
they don't. But you don't want to have your IWGP World Champion losing literally his his first match as champion here in the tag team.
That would be pretty bad. So yeah, I'm going with new champion's crown. Did you see the segment that Don Callis shot for his birthday?
I did not. I was told it was humorous.
It was. He walks into what is like a big surprise party or birthday party, and I can't even say all the members of the family were sitting at this table. It was like maybe a third of the members were there. And on the screen, Kyle Fletcher says, wait, he pulls down this little curtain, and on the screen is a recorded message from Konosuke Takeshita, who couldn't be there in person. And as he's like wrapping up the message, Okada, he has the remote and he turns it off. And they're all like, oh, what happened? And Okada goes, oh, I hit the wrong button. I was like,
I gotta go watch that. That
you should
funny.
watch it. Like it's funny. So, but yeah, I mean, look, like neither of those guys should be losing. So I'm gonna go new tag team champion.
Andrade was not at this dinner, huh?
No, he was not.
Okay, that's a second appearance that he's not with his family.
But neither was El Clone. He was not there either. He wouldn't be able to eat through the mask, probably.
Well, yeah,
so.
I was gonna say maybe he wasn't a fan of the restaurant they chose. I don't know. Kyle Fletcher will defend the TNT Championship against Mark Briscoe. Does Mark Briscoe win the big one here?
No.
Okay. Kyle Fletcher for the win. Jurassic Express, Jack Perry, Jungle Jack Perry, and Luchasaurus against the Young Bucks. This is for $500,000. Who you going with?
Well, in this case, it makes sense because the Bucks are broke, and so they need money. So they got $500,000 on the line here. I think they're going to win the money and be back in the green, or not the green, the black, right? They're in the red.
The black. Yes.
Okay, so now they'll be in the black, and I think the Bucks are going to take it.
Jurassic Express losing their first match back as a tag team, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Chris Statlander versus Timeless Tony Storm as she defends Chris Statlander does the AW Women's Championship. I'm going Stat.
I'm going Statlander as well.
Be stupid to take the belt off her. Adam Page versus Samoa Joe in this unbelievable story here for the AEW World Championship. Adam Page is going to win this one. It's going to be straight up one-on-one match, hopefully. It does not need to go 40 minutes, hopefully. Hopefully it goes at least half that.
Yeah, I don't think Samoa Joe is going 40 minutes.
No, well, you never know. You never know with AEW. Hangman's going to win, retain the title. What happens there? Hopefully MJF is back sooner rather than later. And then Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley. This is an I Quit match. I'm going... I don't know. I feel like Darby has to win this, no?
Well,
my first inclination is to say Jon Moxley is going to win again. And then World's End Darby Allin wins.
Yeah, I mean, it feels that way. It's an I Quit stipulation. I could see Moxley saying I quit. Darby is never going to say I quit. So if Moxley wins, it's going to be some sort of finish where he just completely incapacitates this man. Who won the last match?
Jon Moxley. Though he was set on fire in the body bag.
Right. So ridiculous. I'll go Darby. I think Darby wins.
Okay. Does anybody get set on fire here, or at least teased?
Yes.
Set on fire. Okay.
Somebody, I don't know who, but somebody, maybe Wheeler Yuta will get set on fire. But somebody will be set on fire here.
We'll see glass and everything else. Blood.
Oh my God! You're gonna get thumbtacks, and you're gonna see. Oh yeah, you're gonna see barbed wire. You're gonna see all of it.
It's the only way they're gonna get a headline is.
Dude, I hope we do, because when was the last time we've seen barbed wire or thumbtacks? I feel like I haven't seen it in ages. I hope we get to see it. I never get to see any of this.
Well, me too. You know what I hope to see? Not another match added to this show, because that's 8. But we have a whole 3 hours tomorrow, and then Saturday's Collision. So, I know Saturday's the show, right? I guess Collision is doubled up with Dynamite. So thank God we have 3 hours of AEW television tomorrow. So they could realistically add 2 or 3 more matches. Hopefully they keep it.
Well, I mean, who is Jet Speed going to face?
FTR.
No, I mean, in terms of adding new matches on Saturday.
FTR? FTR doesn't have a match either.
But are they doing something tomorrow? I thought they were doing something on the show tomorrow.
FTR? No, FTR is not doing anything on the show. They wrestled. What was it? It was Willow and Jet Speed versus FTR and somebody on Collision.
All right, so you could do that match on the pre-show. They're going to add more matches. They're going to add 3 more matches, dude. Like, it's guaranteed. They're going to do 3 more matches. They're already building, by the way, to Big Boom AJ on the pre-show at Full Gear next month.
Fantastic. I can't wait,
against it's gonna remember I said it's gonna be Big Boom AJ and a mystery partner against Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero.
Oh God. Hey, listen, all I know is Jason and I will be going live at midnight, or well after midnight on Saturday night. So there you go.
Actually, I don't think I am.
Okay, well there you go. He's the smart one. I'm the dumb one. Me and Jesse will be live. So there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for a great stream. Episode 116 in the books. Make sure you guys go follow us on social media, on YouTube. Everything you need is linked down below in the description. Let's get to your super chats. 1,000 likes. We hit it. Thank you guys very much. We had upwards to 2,900 people in here, man. I guess you guys really wanted to hear us talk about Seth Rollins, huh?
Well, we had just shy of 3,000. So
there you go.
Thank you guys.
Excellent. Things are turning around, man. You see what good pro wrestling does to the fan base? You guys get excited to watch us.
Also, being in our usual time slot.
Yes, back on Tuesdays, yeah.
See, now you know what Tony Khan feels like when Collision gets bounced around to different nights.
Yes, but we have better creative, for sure.
We do.
Well, Michael Krause, by the way, did you, I have to ask you, are your chat members now back to the ats as well?
No, this is I just noticed it. It was fine on my end last night, and now I see in the chat here, everyone's back to the @ handles
This
again.
is ridiculous. I don't understand what's going on here, so I don't know who's who, so bear with me. Michael Krause with a 2. JD, Jason, OTS, TNT, let's go. Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Tone C with a 2. He leaves me the metal horns. Rock on, brother. Nate with a 5. Hi, I have a serious question. Does Mercedes and Beast Mortos mean she's into bestiality? And imagine if Heyman made a team of Bronze, Brock, Oba, and Tony D'Angelo. I don't know.
Why does Tony D'Angelo need to be in there?
Because he was a rumor about joining the group.
Yeah, but I hope not with that gimmick.
Paisan, you don't like it?
Not in that group, no. Not in the top heel faction on Raw, no. No, I don't.
We won't add him to the group then. Is Mercedes into bestiality? She loves the Beast Mortos. I guess she is. Olivia with a Bulgarian $2 super chat times 3. You guys will be wrapping up the stream as I wake up. Have a good TNT JD solo, OTS family. I'll be on a hike. Oh, and any thoughts on Bronson Reed as a main character? I think Bronson Reed's fucking great. I think he's in the spot that he needs to be in.
I like Bronson Reed. I don't think he's going to be positioned as the main character. Do I think he could be a main character? Yes, I do. I have to ask you a question here.
Yeah.
Do you know if Andrade was ever added to the AW roster page? Because he's not on there now.
I don't believe he was, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just going through the page and I just
realized. I think people are making speculatory assumptions here about Andrade because he was pulled from an independent show or a Mexican show. I don't know what it was, but
yeah, but I think that might have had something to do. I don't know, maybe politically. I mean, yeah, people have been spinning a certain narrative. Yeah. I don't know if there's any there, but this whole like roster page thing, they don't always add people right away.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes time. That's why I asked the question. Like, was he there and pulled? Because I don't know that he was ever back on the page in the first place.
No, he was not fired. He was not already fired. No. I do know Britt Baker took the AEW handle off of her Twitter page, and Chris Jericho did not book any of the AEW talents for his cruise, at least not yet anyway. So that's also leading to speculation on both of their ends. We'll see. Vulcan with a 5. JD Solo, why do you think wrestling bears went out of fashion in the industry, and do you think Tony Khan would ever hire one?
I could pretty much imagine why they went out of style, because why would you want to book someone in the ring with a fucking bear?
That'd be the most interesting thing on their fucking show if they did that, to be quite honest.
If you're a promoter, that just sounds like a very bad idea. And then in today's age of social media, can you imagine? The animal cruelty people, if they tried to put a bear in the ring against like Brock Lesnar or something.
PETA gets angry when fucking you could do anything, man. You could fucking walk your dog on the wrong side of the street and they get fucking cancel culture out for you. Boss Mo Jackson with a $4.99. If you guys could star in your own TV show, what would it be about and who is your co-star? Good evening, gentlemen. Glad to be here for another TNT. That's a good question. I have no idea. I don't. Who would it be? What would it be about? It would be about nothing. It would be about nothing.
Like Seinfeld.
And like Seinfeld, about nothing. Who would be my co-star? This guy right here. I think we make a good team.
There you go.
Baltimore Jackson, thank you, brother. Michelle with a 5. Meltzer said it was to have been Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, but it would have been for the title. Question mark. And if not, where and when do you have Seth drop the title? Well, we'll see on Monday. It's going to be a very interesting situation like we discussed earlier. He could vacate the championship and just go get surgery and then come back and rehabilitate. But that Roman match at WrestleMania may be in jeopardy depending on how long he's going to be out. So we'll see, depending on the injury. They did say the report, I think I read a report yesterday saying that it was either a shoulder injury, we mentioned today, a rotator cuff, or broken arm. I think the report said WWE, out of all 3 cases, would prefer a broken arm because he would be back in like 3 or 4 months. So we'll see. Michelle with a 5. Again, falling for another injury ruse would hurt Punk. Why would WWE have their top face on Raw fall for the same trick twice? Makes no sense. Yeah, I'm tired of that. Like Jason said, it would be stupid. Like they just did it, and I mean, how many times could you do the same angle? Sidro, $10 super chat for Solo. He says, man shouts to his wife, "Come here and look at my clock." She walks in to find him naked with a heart on. She says, "That's not a clock." He says, "It will be when you put 2 hands and a face on it." Oh man, he said this to me last night. I said, I think you may get him with that one. So there he is. Bossmo Jackson with a $4.99. I don't know why Fatal Influence have that name. There's nothing fatal about them. Not much influences either. The name doesn't fit the group. They suck. Well, I mean, JC's okay. I'm more of a Fallon Henley guy than I am anybody. And they just added Lainey Reed, I think, to the group. So, I mean, I don't care. I mean, it is what it is. She'll get called up eventually and just kind of settle in. Sidro with a 5. What's a British realtor's favorite drink? Proper tea. And NASA's launching a new space mission to say sorry to the aliens. They're calling it Apollo G. You got him, Sidro. You got him. Oh, man. Also, with a 5. Why did the German stockpile sausage and cheese in his basement? He was preparing.
Oh, no.
He was preparing for the worst case scenario.
Oh, my God.
Thank you, Sidro. You got good. You're much better than last week, bro. I got to tell you. Joseph Morris with a $4.99. How would you construct next year's Women's Rumble? Example number 1, number 2, Iron Woman, Fatal 4-Way, runner-up, and winner. Bro, I don't even know what I'm doing for dinner tomorrow, let alone the Royal Rumble.
I'm more curious to see how you're going to get 30 women in the Rumble to not all look the same.
Yeah.
In the Rumble next year.
Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are my final 2. That's what's going to be, in my opinion. And I think you can have Roxanne again, Liv Morgan coming back, so it's gonna be good.
I think Liv Morgan is the early favorite to win.
Yeah, I could see it. CKY Halo with 31 months. Thank you, brother. I love the Leon Slater Javon Evans match. That was so great. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Lavelle with a 5. Thoughts on report by Wrestling Observer that there were potentially issues already with Andrade in AEW. If true, do you think he could be done? No, I don't. I don't know where this nonsense is coming from. It's been 2 weeks. He came back to DDT Kenny Omega, and then he was off TV, and everybody's already predicting his demise. Like, I don't understand it. Yes, he should have been on TV with his family, but I don't know where he is. I don't. Hopefully he'll be on Wednesday's show somewhere. Bossmo Jackson with a $4.99. Which Hollywood movie would you be most interested in? Gremlins 3, Captain Planet, a Thundercats movie, He-Man, She-Ra, and Thundar the Barbarian.
Is it Tundar or Thundar?
No, he says Thundar. I don't know.
Thundar. Okay. What were the first few options there?
Gremlins 3, Captain Planet, and a Thundercats movie.
Thundercats movie sounds very interesting to me. Thundercats was one of my jams there when I was younger.
Yeah. I don't know. I've always had a thing for Gizmo and the Gremlins. Gremlins, they have a new Lego Gizmo. You know,
You had a thing for Gizmo.
I thought he was.
Hey,
cute.
you know what, brother? Hey, look. I mean, look. Someone said that Mercedes and bestiality of the Beast Morta. You do you, brother.
As a kid, man, I thought it was cute. I always wanted a Gizmo stuffed animal.
Hey, look, Gizmo was cute. That's where it ends for me. But hey, you do you.
Yeah. Well, they just came out with a new Gizmo Lego. It looks pretty cool. Jedi Joke with the $10 super chat. I don't see anyone talking about it, but does Cena get inducted to the Hall of Fame next year since he's done, or do they wait? Been a fan of Santana since he was on your episode of Critiques and Connoisseurs with Big Hodge. And what's your Battlefield 6 loadout, JD? Thank you, Jedi. Yeah, shout out to Hodge. Hopefully he's doing well in Arizona. That was great. We also had, I think we had Ortiz on as well. Does Cena go into the Hall of Fame, Jason, next year?
I don't think it happens next year. I don't know what his schedule, Hollywood wise, movie wise is going to be. I think that they might want to hold off a little bit longer on that. I could see maybe, a couple years down the road.
My Battlefield loadout, Jedi. Right now I'm using the M4. I'm level 18, I think, rank. I'm using the M4 with a suppressor. I just need to stay off the map.
Maybe the Saudis requested a John Cena Hall of Fame induction in 2027.
I could see that. Can't get him any other way unless they pay him rock-type money to come out of retirement, which I don't think he's going to. Sidro with a 10. Hear about the guys that tried to rob a blood bank. They got caught red-handed. And hear about a baker who attacked a customer with a bag of yeast. He was arrested and charged with assault with a deadly weapon. So bad it was funny, Sidro. Thank you. Oh, man. Branch Oak. I don't know who any of these individuals are. I apologize. You can thank YouTube. I didn't flip a switch or anything. $4.99.
Branch Oak.
Branch Oak. 6678. $4.99. Nobody can figure out if Seth is injured or not. I can't figure out if he's a heel or face. That's why I don't watch. It never makes any sense. That's another question, Jason. We forgot to touch that. Does he come back as a heel or a face now, Seth?
As far as Seth?
Yeah.
Well, if he's going to be out for an extended period of time, I would say probably a babyface. If he's hurt but doesn't have to be out for too long, I like the idea of him being a heel with Becky.
Yeah,
I think together as heels, that could be a good pairing, and keep them as heels. But if he's gone for like 6 months, as with most people, when you're gone for that long, it'll be the same with Liv Morgan. You come back, you get cheered. It'd be hard for him, I think, to not be a babyface.
Yeah. Sidro with a 5. Me and my buddies are starting a rock band, and we're going to call ourselves the National Debt. We're going to be huge. Thank you, Sidro. He also follows with this. You know why people say hold your horses? Because they want you to be stable. And what does a dragon and a fine dining restaurant have in common? A flaming yawn. What happened, bro? You started off so good. Oh, man. Boston Jackson with a $4.99. Why did Yoda enter the Swiss talent show? He was good at yodeling. And what did Yoda say when the bakery was out of pies? Dough or do not, there is no pie.
It's not getting worse.
Sidro on the 5. Old joke I told JD a long time ago. What's the difference between a pickpocket and a peeping Tom? One snatches your watch, the other watches your snatch.
Okay, so that one I like. That one's clever. I like that one.
Bossboy Jacks with a $4.99. I don't know why Dirty Dom group is called Judgment Day. They never judge anything. They don't even wear robes like judges. The name doesn't fit the group. You all right, boss? Seem off tonight. Sidro with a 5. No offense to Ridge Holland, but only Ridge, I believe, is the Ridge wallet. The best wallet someone can get. Get it now. Code JD at checkout. He says in parentheses, old JD ad. Yes, Ridge is great. I got several of them. So does Jason.
As do I. Yeah, I have a New York Mets one, actually.
Yes.
Not using that one at the moment, but I do have it.
No, you got to use that one. It's appropriate. Poseidon with a 5. The Mike Santana moment is my moment of the year. Ignore the interference. I'm so happy his daughter saved him. Yes. Sidro with a 5. It's my wife's birthday next week, and she's been leaving jewelry catalogs all over our house. So I got her a magazine rack. Hashtag sleeping on the couch now. You didn't read the room there, bro. Sorry to hear that. Linkmaster X.
That's Sidro.
Is this Sidro?
I think Linkmaster is Sidro.
Or is that Base Beerus? I don't know. I can't tell.
Yeah, maybe you're right. No, I think Sidro is Melee King.
Yeah. I think this is Base Beerus. Bro, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on here. Heyman has managed 6 people this year so far. There's a Jenna Hayes and a Jenna Jameson. I'm not familiar with Jenna Hayes.
Well, now we know where the name came from. I mean, that explains a lot.
Maybe he's a fan of the exotic women. I don't know. The big fundamental Tim Duncan with a 5. This question is for Solomonster. Between Roger Clemens, Chipper Jones, and Chase Utley, who's the biggest Mets villain between the 3?
Chase Utley.
Really? Over Chipper Jones?
I mean, personally, I greatly dislike Chase Utley.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, Chipper Jones was probably a bigger pain in our ass, but I don't like Chase Utley at all.
Yeah, I feel that way about Bryce Harper nowadays. I just can't stand him.
I just think he's a dick.
Yeah. U Smith for life with a 2. We need Gargano and Finn Balor OG themes back. Yes. 2 banger themes. Rebel Heart was great. Hollywood Guy with a $5 super chat. Have you guys ever seen an episode of NWA Power? Please don't. It's a bad show with no story and it's all over the place. Like you say, it's a mud show. I didn't even know they were still on, bro. Where can you even find them? Roku?
I thought it was back on YouTube. I used to watch it in the early days before the pandemic hit and shut everything down. And I enjoyed it. It was like a nice throwback show. Ricky Starks was on there. LA Knight was on there. That's where we got the infamous, not infamous, but the great promo, the Shoes of a Champion. Ever saw that Shoes of a Champion Eli Drake promo?
I have not.
He came out on set, and he had a bottle of, must have been a bottle of champagne, I guess. And he was clearly, 3 sheets to the wind, and he was having a good time, and he's just smiling and laughing and cutting a promo here in this studio. And I wish I could remember like the exact promo, but like he said something about shoes, I think, and he was referring to something completely different. Like he was gone, and then he realized what he said, and he just starts like fucking cracking up laughing, and he's like, yeah. And everyone's just having a great time. I'm like, this promo is fucking fantastic. Go on YouTube and type in Shoes of a Champion. You'll see what I'm talking about.
I gotta watch that in the Don Callis clip from earlier. U Smith with a 5. Wait, couldn't someone get sued or something using someone's image with AI? Imagine someone using a person who's passed away to make money, but it's legal. Yeah, there's a whole gray area with that, bro. I don't really understand it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm talking about. Like, imagine if, like, let's say you're maybe a famous person, but like your father passed away, and all of a sudden there's AI videos, and these AI videos, dude, like, like it's hard to tell sometimes, like fact from fiction, real from fake, and then you see something like, oh, it's my dad, and it's like floating around in AI form doing God knows what. Like, it's unnerving, and there's no regulation or control over it. So, like, yeah, it's funny you see some of these videos, but then it's also scary. It's like, man, the fact that they can do this, and this is like just the first iteration. It's only going to get better. It's going to improve from here. It's scary.
Yeah, some of the voices are so scarily on point, man. It's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know. Also with a 2, U Smith for life. The only woman Miss Monet has put over is Stephanie Vaquer. I remember that being a great match, and Stephanie went on to bigger and better things for sure. Bastardo, what's up, brother? $5 super chat. When Triple H and TK expect people to watch their product regardless of what they do, that's called entitlement, which says they don't have to earn it. Yeah. They need to do better. Triple H is at least stepping up a little bit. Tony needs to step it up. Right now, the whole fucking show is ice cold. Scottsy with a $1.99. At least we don't have a bareback champion. Yeah, yes. I don't want to know about
Rocker
that.
Steiner.
Yeah, I don't want to know about him. Base Bears with it too. Tropic Thunder or Super Bad? Ooh,
Super Bad.
Super Bad, absolutely.
Oh my god, dude! I remember seeing that in the theater for the first time. I can't remember another movie where I laughed as hard as I did watching that movie.
That was a great fucking movie. Also with the 2 Base Beers, not a fan of the character, but Seth is the best. He's great. He's just got to understand that he's never going to be the man. Cornell with a $9.99. If Seth was seriously hurt, he wouldn't have taken multiple bumps yesterday in that ring. They could have filmed him getting hurt backstage, or Bron run him over with a car like Rikishi did to Austin. I did notice, Jason. Did you notice that his left arm was like almost in an upward position, like he was wearing a sling under his fucking enormous jacket, and then in the main event segment where he came out when Punk won the match, he had his arm down. Now, I don't know why that was. Did you pick up on that and wonder about that, or was that just him, preparing himself for those 2 bumps?
I didn't notice it too much at the beginning. I think the bumps he took were fairly safe. He got speared, so it's not like there was a lot of impact to the arm. And then the tsunami, I'm sure Bronson took care of him on the landing. So yeah, he took bumps. And I'm sure that if the injury was such that he was in great pain or really thought that it was like super serious, I don't want to make this any worse, then they wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But it was clear like he was, and if you notice in the backstage segment in the middle of the show, Heyman put his hand on Rollins' shoulder and he kind of winced and looked at him.
Yeah, I saw that.
I noticed that too.
Cornell, thank you, brother, for the 10. Emoji Matt, 87, with a $4.99 and a $1.99. He says, why don't scientists like atoms? Because they make up everything. This was a joke yesterday from Sidro. Or somewhere. I don't know who it was.
Stealing jokes?
Stealing jokes here. Also, he says, could Dave LaGreca ever do a collision corner with you and Jesse? No, I don't think he has any interest in that. I don't think Dave even watches Collision. And Dave is a good dude. Yeah, he mentioned me on Busted Open yesterday when talking about Styles and Cena with Mr. Bishop Dyer. Apparently, he's seen something I said in my post show saying that if he didn't like the match, fuck off. A lot of people were complaining about it. I didn't really understand why, but shout out to Dave. Great. Baltimore Jackson with a $1.99. Your favorite Mortal Kombat and Killer Instinct character? I'm not a fan of Killer Instinct. Never played the game, but Mortal Kombat, I like Scorpion and Reptile. I don't know. How about you? I know you're Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter guy. I forgot.
More Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
So for me, it was like Sub-Zero.
There you go.
And probably Sub-Zero and Scorpion. And I know they're very similar, but those were probably always my favorite.
Base Beers with it too. At the deli right now, getting a BLT heavy mayo. Yes, I said last night I am not a fan of BLTs. Something about a lettuce and tomato and bacon on my sandwich with mayo. Ugh. But I'll eat egg salad though.
Oh, I thought you were calling back to when I accidentally called the BFT a BLT.
No, I think that's what he's doing here. That's why I said it. So is Reed number 2 behind Breakker? Yes, I would assume so. And then he says with it too, a Clockwork Sidro. Matt Fisher with a $4.99. If you could have a Planeteer ring, which one would it be? Ooh. I don't know. I forgot what the rings even were. Do you remember?
No.
With Captain Planet? No?
I never watched Captain Planet.
I used to watch it sporadically.
The only thing I ever knew of Captain Planet, they did a Robot Chicken sketch many years ago. That was hilarious. And that's, I think, my only exposure to Captain Planet. I don't think I ever actually watched Captain Planet.
I have to get back to you on that one, brother. Bobby Means with a 2. JD, who do you see headlining the Hall of Fame in 2026? Stephanie McMahon. I already told you. Melee King, Sidro, $5 super chat. Did you know that Mortal Kombat is based on Nordic religious songs? It was a Finnish hymn.
This one you definitely used before. I've heard this one within the last few weeks. And I think it might have been on my stream. And I read it like straight. And I didn't get it. And I'm like, I literally did. I read it. And I'm like, I took it as serious. I'm like, oh. I didn't know that. And I moved on to the next super chat. And then I'm looking in the chat and they're like, finish him. I'm like, oh my God. How did I not get that?
Listen, there's something that go over my head too, man, but I got that one.
Yes.
MGM Bowling with how come you don't have an at next to your name? That's ridiculous. I know it's not me then. He's got no at next to his name, and he's got his regular name, $9.99. These shoes right here, shoes of a champion. This jacket right here, shoes of a champion. Thanks for a second. Wait, did I say shoes of a champion? Crowd laughs and pops. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was. He's like, look at these shoes, shoes of a champion. This jacket, shoes of a champion. Wait. It's just great.
And Sidro went with this one, $5 super chat. The Mariners wisely reward home run hitters with a pitchfork. It's a trident true strategy. Blue Jays are down 0-2, bro. I don't know what happened there.
Wow.
It's crazy. That's the last.
I'm turning this camera off for a second. You finish up here. I'm going to grab something from over here real quick.
All right.
I got a surprise for you.
All right. Well, that was the last of the super chats here before we get out of here. Thank you guys very much for a great episode 116. We'll be back next Tuesday at 8:30 normal time. Hopefully, we're not preempted anymore for the rest of the year, but. We covered a lot of ground tonight. We got Dynamite tomorrow. We'll be live on our respective channels. And then we got Wrestle Dream. I'll be live. Jason's going to cover it on the Sound Off on Sunday. So that's that. I'll leave it to this guy to sound us off for a great episode tonight. Thank you guys for joining us on Tuesday night.
There you go. I don't want to get JD too excited here, but JD, look who I have. Look who I have. Uh-oh.
Oh, man. He's a cute stuffed animal, man. Look at him.
JD's getting excited, everybody. Look at
He has the Gizmo stuffed animal, and I have no Gizmo. So what does that tell you?
You can't have her. I have her. She's mine tonight.
Oh, yes. It's apparently...
My precious.
Anyway, man, sound us out of here and get us out of here, please.
I just did. I mean, I have nothing to add to that. I just talked to a fucking puppet. I have nothing else to add to this.
Oh, my God, man. We'll see you next week.
Actually, I got to go feed him right now, so that's what I'm going to go do.
What does he eat? Worms? What does he eat?
I don't know, but it's after midnight, so it's feeding time.
All right. Thank you guys very much for a great stream. We'll see you back next Tuesday right here, 8:30 for episode 117 of TNT. We'll see you guys later.